Hello, everybody, and welcome to a new episode of the MinnMax Show, a place about games, friends, getting better. I'm Ben Hansen. Thanks for clicking on this. I'm joined by Kyle Hilliard.
Hello.
Joined by Jacob Geller.
I'm here.
And the other king of YouTube, fresh on the scene, Jason Schreier.
Hello. I'm a YouTuber now. Welcome. Like and subscribe.
You are kicking butt, cranking out these videos where it's you looking to camera and just unloading your brain, and I look at those views and I'm seething with jealousy in an unhealthy way. But I was just wondering, like, what's going on with you? What is the goal? What do you want from being able to have this new avenue of talking to the community? You already got Triple Click, you got Bloomberg at your beck and call, and now you need YouTube too?
Well, I can tell you this. I just got an email. This happened like 5 minutes before we recorded. I got an email from someone who's like, hi, I won't say the company name, but hi, we're a lifestyle apparel company. I'm reaching out to propose a flat fee partnership for a 30 to 60 second integration in one of your upcoming videos.
Deal.
Blah, 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 blah. We'll send you some swag. What's your rate? And so I responded and I said, hi, my rate is $10 million. So if as a result of the YouTube channel, I can get $10 million, then mission accomplished.
Jason, if you will click that without reading the fine print, though, someone will just like, yeah, sure, you know.
Jason, if you respond like that to Raid Shadow Legends, they will say, yes, here you go. And then you will have to decide, do you want $10 million or do you not want to promote Raid Shadow Legends?
That is a good question. I mean, here's the thing. I have 2 children who need to go to college, so I think I want $10 million. But we'll see. We'll see if the opportunity arises.
Okay.
Ring.
Check it out. Jason Schreier on YouTube. It's exploding. It'll eclipse the world soon. On this episode of the podcast, Jason will be here just for the first section because we got to talk about what's going on with Xbox. Always a new saga. It's fascinating even if you're sick of it, I promise. There's a lot to unpack here. Then we're going to be talking about some things that we genuinely love, I promise, like Adventures of Elliot, the Millennium Tales, talking about that new action RPG. And then the great Sarah Pozorski and Haley McClain are going to be joining to talk about Dead by Daylight's 10th anniversary. They went up to a big event in Montreal, and it's one of Haley's favorite games of all time. So talking about the state of that game as that's also still exploding in popularity. It's amazing. Jacob, you said you wanted to have a whole section that was plain games with Jacob Geller.
I'm a plain game guy now.
Yeah, awesome. I can't wait to
part of my identity.
Hell yeah. Ace Combat, Project Wingman, a bunch more. And with Sarah, the playing girl, this is going to be perfect.
Games you played on.
I'm with Kyle. That's what I thought too.
Oh yeah. Match 3, the trivia one where you can play against other people on the plane.
Yeah.
I love that.
Oh, you can like literally games that can only be played on the back of a headset as well. Okay.
Yeah, that's right. They're exclusives.
Oh, damn. And exclusives are all the rage now, so I hear. We're also going to talk about Paralives. We're going to talk a little bit about Steam Next Fest, some cool demos that we played there. And then back half the show, as always, we have great questions submitted over there on Patreon. Jason Schreier, thank you for joining us. You were popping off stories over there at Bloomberg saying, trouble at Xbox, round 57 for this year. What is the status of what's going on with these ambiguous Microsoft studios?
Yeah, so quick refresher is on June 10th, I reported at Bloomberg that layoffs were coming at the end of fiscal year, which is June 30th. So it'll be shortly after that. Kind of timed to my article for complicated reasons. Asha Sharma, the new CEO, sent out a letter to staff saying, hey, here's what's going on. Here's some grim numbers. Bleak picture. She used the words, this cannot continue, which, things are going to be bad when an executive says, this cannot continue.
When they quote Nier Automata.
Yeah, exactly. When she started singing the song as robots swarmed her. Man, I thought she wasn't a gamer, but here we go. It's bleak. I had thought that we wouldn't really hear anything again until the layoffs actually started. But over on Friday, the people at Compulsion Games in Montreal were informed by their leadership, hey, stuff is going down. We've been informed that Xbox does not plan to keep us. And they got kind of an early heads up so they could start looking for new work as quickly as possible. And on Monday, I reported at Bloomberg that at least 3 studios, Compulsion, Double Fine, and Ninja Theory, are currently in negotiations with Xbox because they've been told they're on the chopping block and there are different steps they can take to move forward. Maybe they can spin out, maybe they can find another buyer, whatever that looks like. It is kind of the current status is them just negotiating with people. And there are more to come. Those are not the only 3 that are going to face closure, but those are the 3 that I've been able to confirm so far. And as we speak, I'm still trying to figure out what's going on. My phone is blowing up right now with text messages from people within the ZeniMax organization. That's the company that owns Bethesda and id and Machine Games and Arcane. And not a lot of people know what's going on. There's a lot of confusion. There's a lot of frustration. There's a lot of anxiety. A lot of people just trying to figure out what happens to their jobs. And man, needless to say, not a lot of work getting done. Very hard to do your job when you have this kind of axe hanging over you.
The axe box. Do you think that, is it Arcane being paranoid and rightfully scared of the studio's health, or are there some inklings that something is up with Arcane in France?
Well, I'm talking about like all over ZeniMax, not just Arcane. I know there have been kind of like people sharing rumors about Arcane specifically, but there are people that are concerned all around the org. I feel like it's probably a little irresponsible to just be like, well, there's a belief that this studio could shut down, like I saw with Arcane, without knowing for sure. So I'm going to refrain from like commenting on what I've heard unless I know it to be 100% certain, which is why I just stuck to those 3 studios. Like I've heard rumors about all sorts of other studios within the org. The only thing I can say for sure is that those 3 studios are facing closure, and there will be others. Probably multiple others. But other than that, I can't really add much to. I don't want to like spread rumors
I get it.
when I don't know they're true.
I have a million questions. One of them is like, why do we know this? Normally it's like, hey, news broke, studios shut down, everyone's scrambling for work. Why is this a matter of like, after June 30th, heads are going to roll? Why is there this much of a rare heads up?
Well, okay, so 2 parts of this. One is the kind of the massive scale, the fact that mass layoffs are coming. That leaked out to me a while ago. A lot of people have been informed. A lot of people know it's coming. A lot of people are preparing for it in some way or another. The individual studios themselves, so the reason that those 3 have been confirmed, the reason I've confirmed those 3, been able to confirm those 3, is because those 3 studios management had conversations with their employees and said, look, here's what's going on. There are others where management has been informed and chose not to tell employees just yet for their own reasons. There could be all sorts of reasons for that. I think there are pros and cons to telling employees and knowing that it's going to become public news. And then the other kind of bucket is that some studios, even their management, doesn't know what's going on. So there's just a lot of uncertainty right now, a lot of confusion, a lot of uncertainty.
It's infuriating. You know, we talked about it a couple of weeks ago on the podcast, just the idea of like doing everything they could to try and be like, hey, gamers, we're on your side. Twitter poll, what should Xbox be called? Is it in all caps or not? And then just knowing this was the big axe to drop of radical change and just the huge swings that they have to take. You know, I thought it was really telling that what is his name? Christopher Ball?
Matthew Ball.
Matthew Ball. Thank you. When Matthew Ball did an interview with Game Business, you know, and he said that one of the first questions that Asha had for him when he came on board was like, is it salvageable? Is the entire Xbox thing fixable? And then there's quotes from, you know, Microsoft CEO Nadella where he said, quote, YouTube monetizes Xbox better than we do, which is a fucking insane thing for the CEO to say.
I mean, also true of news organizations. So, hey, that's why I'm a YouTuber now.
Okay, it's the place to be, apparently.
Yeah.
What's everybody feeling? Is it fury? Is it chaos? Kyle, Jacob, where are you at these days?
I really, I liked, you know, lots of people posting things. But a friend and colleague Joshua Rivera posted, like, do we have to keep being Lucy in the football with this?
Yeah.
Like, why would we ever have given them any credit? Like, it's just the inevitable finish line. It just feels like it's like, and then we pretend like, oh, you know, like things are looking pretty good here, where it's just like, this is how it was always going to end. And it feels stupid that we keep reporting on like not reporting, Jason, I appreciate your reporting, but like the idea of kind of being like, things are looking up, things are looking down. Yes. It's just like, it makes us all seem like idiots because like this is how it was always going to work, and now it's how it's working. And I just kind of, it's hard to get past the feeling of just like, what are we doing? What were we doing? Thinking like this time they really figured it out.
I think there's vibes and then there's the business of it all. And the vibes are generally what the podcasts and Twitter and Blue Sky, that's kind of, and Resetera, that's like what the conversation has been about. As far as the business, I mean, I think most business analysts have looked over at Xbox and been like, this is unsalvageable unless drastic moves are made. And I think it remains to be seen if this turns out to be a win for them. But if the goal, if Asha Sharma has been placed here, not to turn around the vibes, but to turn Xbox into a growing, sustainable business, then that's a whole nother question entirely. And you're right that like some of these earlier moves in the first few months have been about vibes, changing the name to all caps Xbox or whatever, addressing Tim Dog on Twitter. Even the exclusives thing is all about vibes because that's kind of nonsensical otherwise. But like this big layoff and reorganization, I think the kind of how that worked out for the org, we're gonna have to wait and see. As horrible as it is, I mean, it's like horrible from a human perspective. There are going to be a lot of people out of work, a lot of people whose lives are ruined because of this. Yeah. But from a question of is Asha Sharma delivering on her mandate, I think remains to be seen.
I mean, the acquisition of half the industry. Yeah. And because specifically you said like, can Xbox be sustainable? But like in general, Microsoft's goal is not sustainability, it's infinite growth, right? And that's why like, you know, the idea of a studio selling a game that did like good enough to fund another one doesn't seem like, even if that would be sustainable for a studio that existed within its own ecosystem, the idea of being part of Microsoft where the goal and demand is continuous growth after growth, quarter after quarter, forever, is a wholly destructive thing towards the idea of making art.
Yeah, and I think like the part that makes me want to scream is the idea of like, all right, I'm happy to hear new strategy. I would like to see the strategy. And right now it seems like the strategy is go back to where Xbox was in like 2018. Like if we just had some exclusives and had fewer studios and focused on, quote, great games, mission accomplished. Where I feel like, you know, one of the wise things I think Phil Spencer said towards the end of his reign is like, it's not a matter of great games anymore. If we crank out 5 amazing games per year, people still aren't selling their PS5 and picking up an Xbox. It needs to be something bigger and a bigger, cleaner swing than that. And so just the strategy of like, if we just had fewer people on the payroll and more exclusives, maybe we'll be okay. Like I'm not seeing a future path just based on that alone.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's right. I think that the kind of what's hard to square here is that it's like a lot of different competing kind of mission statements. Like selling hardware is almost like a Sisyphean goal at this point. Right. Like you might try to be like, Gears is exclusive, so we're going to sell Xboxes because of that, which is kind of an asinine concept for a few reasons. One is because it's not exclusive, it's coming to PC. Exactly, so that already cuts out a massive swath of your audience. But 2 is because they're losing money on every piece of hardware they're selling in the first place. And this memory chip crisis, like their hardware was in a bad place before, like the cost of storage and memory went up tenfold. Yeah. So that kind of almost feels like an X factor in its own right. But in terms of them as just kind of a software company, which is what I've at least been looking at a little bit more through a focused lens, because that's where it seems like most people who work in the Xbox org are working on the software side of things. That's where, I mean, it's hard to argue that there isn't a lot of room for change there. The fact that they haven't had a Fallout game for as long as Xbox has owned ZeniMax, they haven't had a new Fallout game, just a couple of remasters. I mean, that's crazy. Actually, they haven't even had remasters yet. Did they remaster Fallout 4? I'm trying to remember. Or was that just like a next gen?
It's like Switch port or something.
Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like, that's crazy to me. That is like ineptitude that you have this massively successful show, but you haven't been able to put out a new Fallout game to correspond to that. So that I understand why Asha Sharma would come in and be like, why haven't we had a new Fallout game? This is insane. At the same time, this idea of doubling down on bigger franchises without being able to take the kind of smaller investments into maybe not necessarily like artsier games, but games that maybe can be more creative and also actually have a shot at hitting. That seems like, well, I don't know. I mean, I guess we don't know exactly what the map is going to look like because the full scale of the cuts has not yet been revealed. But to me, it seems like you need to be investing in both big and small projects. They just have to be the right ones. And I mean, that is kind of a subjective thing. I don't see a world like Double Fine is such a valuable studio to me. That to me, it seems like something that would be worth keeping. But if you're Asha Sharma and you're coming in and you don't know anything about the history of these companies, you just know what you're learning about the business right now, then I guess it's kind of an obvious move. This isn't a company known for making a bunch of money.
Would her knowing about it change this?
I don't think so.
Yeah, why are we moving forward with the assumption that any of them care?
Well, I mean, I think that it's, I don't know. It depends what her mandate is. It depends what her overall strategy is. But I think it doesn't help to come in and be like when Phil Spencer comes in and he decides to buy Double Fine and hang on to them and tell them they can make whatever kind of artsy games they want as long as it fills out Game Pass. That to me is largely because he has been working in the games industry for 30 years and knows Tim Schafer pretty well. And they have a good relationship and work well together. That's where a lot of these acquisitions and kind of mergers and deals come out of. I mean, there's so many games that have been signed because like two people were good friends and had a drink at the Fig in downtown Los Angeles during an E3 one time, and then started talking about how like, hey, this franchise that you work on would actually be a good fit for this studio that I operate. That's how a lot of stuff gets done. It's just that relationship building and bringing in kind of an outsider, an operator who really knows platforms but doesn't know the games industry. You just don't have any of those relationships, and so there's a lot that will be different as a result of that.
But when Phil Spencer and accomplices decides to close Tango Gameworks, it's not because he doesn't know about or care about game history. I just feel like any of these, I believe that people meet each other through artistic passion, even if they do work for a $1 trillion human rights abusing company. But it's just kind of like, it feels strange to me to be like, if Asha Sharma just understood the history of games, maybe she wouldn't close Double Fine, because I don't think that's how any of their people have operated.
No, that's not what I'm saying at all. What I'm saying is that I think it's much, to people who do know the history of games, it's a lot more clear what the value of Double Fine is and what the history of Double Fine is and why. I mean, if I were running a business, I would be like, Double Fine just made some of the most engaging, rewarding, incredibly compelling documentaries on the planet. Yeah. We should find a way to boost those and get those on Netflix and make Double Fine has value just in that. But that's not the type of thing that like a brand new operator is coming in to evaluate and look at. And I'm not saying if she understood the history of Double Fine, she would like automatically be saving the studio, but I think that plays a much bigger role than you would expect. Like relationships and understanding of history, like that all plays a huge part in how business functions.
Yeah, and even we saw in the documentary that it seemed like higher ups at Microsoft didn't really understand the documentary even when they were visiting Double Fine. I was like, wait, what is this? You're filming a documentary? I don't know what you've been doing here for the last 5 years, but it seems ambitious, sure. But it is the big question mark, is what's going to happen with these studios? Are they all going to get shut down? Are they all going to be sold off, spun off in theory? I mean, Toys for Bob got its independence not that long ago. At Tango Gameworks, Krafton came in and purchased them. Bungie, if you want to go back a couple years before that, like it's not unreasonable for these studios to spin off, and especially in terms, Jacob, of like, why would they not close this down? Like, if they're in the business of just goodwill, they could pull a move like fandom. Of like just being like, hey, studio, like Double Fine, buy yourself back the way the Giant Bomb did or whatever. Like, here we go, and no harm done, and we alleviate all of these employees on the payroll. And we know what? It'll look pretty good on a spreadsheet, and then people won't hate us even more for bringing down Double Fine and all these studios. So
the business of goodwill, the business that Xbox is best at.
I mean, they're at least trying for the first half of the year. That was very much their angle, is like, hey, gamers, let's try and get back to some ounce of goodwill. But it is just the question of whether or not it's going to be feasible. Like the confusing thing, right, is they announced Senua, the third Hellblade game, and then it came out from GameFile that they knew that they're going to be splitting off or doing something apparently, with Ninja Theory before they even announced that. And so they announced that as a way just to gauge interest in a sale of the studio. Maybe if wish lists were skyrocketing through the moon for the new Senua, things would be slightly different, but it's just a weird situation that they're in.
I had a question about that because I haven't read the sort of detailed story. Was Ninja Theory in that loop? Is that what the sort of concern is that they weren't made aware before the announcement?
It seems unclear is what GameFile is reporting, at least, that they knew exactly what was going on. I mean, if you look at that reveal trailer,
Microsoft did, but Ninja Theory didn't.
Correct. And if you look at that reveal trailer, it is telling that it's, maybe I'm reading too much into it, right? But it's Senua drowning in a big pool of gold, like in that trailer as she's being suffocated. And so it is interesting that, Matthew Ball in that interview in Game Business, they're asking about just exclusives and why are some games exclusive, others are not? How does it make sense for Gears of War Ide to be exclusive console-wise, but then Senua, a new announcement, is not? And he was like, it's a case-by-case basis. Sometimes it depends on the studio, and I can't comment on what's going on in Ninja Theory. And so it very much felt like, okay, something might be up here. And so I guess best we can do is fingers crossed these studios can get their independence back in a Toys for Bob-like fashion. I have heard, that with a studio like Double Fine, that was at least part of the messaging internally, when Microsoft purchased them, is Tim Schafer said something along the lines of like, and we can always buy ourselves back if this thing goes south. And I think there's some confusion about like, is that in the contract or is that just an assumption that this can happen? Could you buy back the name Double Fine, but with none of the IP? Would Microsoft own all of that? Jason, I don't know if you have more thoughts on this, but that's what I'm hearing at least. There's just a lot of confusion about what exactly this would mean.
That is the big wrinkle. You just identified it, the IP. When Toys for Bob spun out of Activision, they spun out with a deal to make a Spyro game, but they do not own the Spyro IP. And that is kind of going to be a big sticking point in these negotiations because Xbox will have to place a value on them. And whoever is making whether it's outside financiers or the studio heads themselves using the money they got from the initial acquisition, trying to buy themselves back out, the IP is going to be a big part of those negotiations. There's also the question of how many staff you can actually afford to retain if you do choose to spin out. Much easier to keep your entire team together if you're sold to another company with big pockets than it is if you are trying to spin out and own the company yourself and fund salaries yourself. There's also a possibility that like one of these companies, like say if you're Double Fine, you might say, hey, well, we've got this game in development. Can we spin out but continue working on this game with you as the publisher, or can we shop it around to another publisher? So there are a lot of complicated variables here, and that's why there is now this negotiation period where none of the studios are actually getting shut down. And like, it's a little bit misleading to see headlines saying that Ninja Theory is closing or Compulsion is closing, because none of this is actually being executed until after fiscal year. So like early July is when the layoffs are actually going to go through. Right now, there's this negotiation period, and it's essentially Microsoft saying, hey, we're going to shut down these studios, but like, now let's talk about what that looks like, whether you can spin out before we shut you down, whether we can find another buyer, whatever other solutions there are. I don't know what all the possible options are. Maybe private equity can swoop in. Who knows? But the idea is that like none of these studios are actually shut down right now. What's being messaged to employees is like, hey, things are bad. We just got told we're going to be shut down. So feel free to look for work right now, because even if we do get to save ourselves, we might not be able to save everybody. It might be like a very small percentage of you guys. So take these next 2 weeks as like an additional 2 weeks to get a head start on looking for work, which I think is very generous of those studios to offer to their employees.
Yeah, and a recent example, with Perfect Dark and the Initiative studio shutting down is there were talks, right, for Take-Two to pick up that project. So it's another example of like, hey, maybe somebody outside can come save us. And then the answer was, nope, never mind.
The main reason that deal fell apart, IP ownership.
Yeah.
Who would own the Perfect Dark IP was the biggest sticking point in that deal.
But can you imagine the idea of like, great job, Microsoft, you're going to be hoarding all of Double Fine's IP without Tim Schafer. good luck. The idea of like, I mean, what you can make a
You
second
can make
TV show?
Psychonauts 3 with whatever team you still own.
Toys for Bob.
Yeah, I mean, part of it is the
yeah.
back catalog, right? Like if Xbox, we don't really know what the future looks like for Game Pass. Asha Sharma has not really talked a lot about Game Pass, but
Right.
if they want to keep all of those old Double Fine games on there, that's part of that is IP ownership.
Yeah, that's
There's a
interesting.
world in which like a contract that is put together, and again, this is why it's like negotiations, and there's a lot of lawyers and back and forth. But like one kind of potential outline for a contract is like, hey, we will buy back this IP, but in perpetuity, you can have this, and this game on Game Pass as long as Game Pass exists, and so on and so forth. So that's when you get into a lot of kind of complications in the contracts.
Yeah, it's just so heartbreaking thinking of, the last game that Double Fine released. I understand there was a cancellation there not too long ago as well for another project, but like the last game they released was Kiln.
Ben Hansen with the insider
Hey,
info.
insider scoop. No, but just the idea of like, hey, Kiln was the last game they released. Didn't light the world on fire, but like, hey, it's kind of a cool little thing. The pottery making is nice. And it freaks me out, all of us being fans of, Double Fine's video history they've been so bold and brave to reveal so much of. Like seeing the origins of Kiln, where it's just the Amnesia Fortnite project and Derek Brand just being like, yeah, I don't know, a pottery kind of multiplayer thing. And everyone's like, yeah, that's cool. That's a cool idea. Like, that's such an innocent starting point. And now jump forward to 2026 when Asha Sharma and all the heads of Xbox are looking like, I don't know, what's the last game Double Fine made? Some pottery multiplayer game that no one played? Kill it. Like, it's just such a sad ending if this is going to be the finish line for Double Fine in this iteration, at least. It's brutal.
Jacob, the way you're talking, do you think that this is it? Like for Xbox, like do you see like a finish line in like the near future? It's just like the tone I get from you.
Yeah, I mean, I don't respect them as a company or a group of decision-making individuals, but like, I do think that there will be some version of, like the team that makes Gears and whatever that continues to limp along for a long time. But I feel like the past decade, we have essentially been living through the experiment of what if Microsoft bought half the gaming industry.
Yeah.
And now we are at the end of that experiment, which is that it didn't work. Game Pass didn't make anyone any money, and the studios were not more sustainable.
I mean, there is the question.
That's it.
I hear that. There is the question, though, of, would Double Fine exist if they weren't purchased in 2019? I mean, if you watch the video content, you know that like business is obviously hard. They have 60 to 70 employees in San Francisco. That's pretty expensive, right? And so it's not to be like, thank Microsoft for giving them a couple more years, but like it is a big question for a lot of these studios out there. Like, would they still be around? And, not to, just to spread it out a little bit more, it's like, at least these studios got to release some games under Microsoft. You look at something like Blue Point with Sony shutting down, which they purchased and then got 0 games out the door. It's like it's all messier than you'd want to believe,
They did work on Ragnarok, to be fair.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, on the Double Fine point, it's safe to say that either they wouldn't exist or they would have had to find money elsewhere to finish that game, or they would have released it earlier and worse. So yes, in that case, and you can see that very clearly in Psychodyssey, the Microsoft acquisition worked out well for them. I think the real fatal flaw, and when history is written about all this stuff, I think that kind of gaming historians will point to the Activision Blizzard deal as the kind of the biggest mistake that Phil Spencer ever made, for a number of reasons. One is because it made it just way too big, double the size of the company. I mentioned this on YouTube, on a YouTube video, but I think it's worth reiterating that deal, the cost of that deal isn't just $69 billion to buy Activision Blizzard. It's also adding 10,000 employees to your organization and having to pay them their salaries and benefits for the next however long you keep them around. So that is a significant investment. It made the org way too big. It drew a lot of attention from Microsoft. Also happened to arrive around the same time that AI was starting to take off, and Microsoft was like, hey, we need to become an AI company. Wait a minute, why are we investing all this money in Xbox, which gives us such low returns, when that money could be going to Azure and making a way bigger profits, or into AI and pleasing our shareholders. And the other problem is that just when that deal was announced in January of 2022 was a time of 0% interest rates, which is a very different world than when it was actually closed in October of 2023. And I mean, if you guys remember, that 0% interest rate drove everybody crazy. That's when Sony spent $3 billion to buy Bungie. Take-Two spent $12 billion to buy Zynga. It was just crazy. Like, money was free. And then suddenly money wasn't free. And that deal looked really, really bad in retrospect. And it has not worked out well for them. It has not led to Game Pass growth. It has not led to them suddenly being a dominant player in mobile or cloud, or I think they were talking about the metaverse a little bit back then, which is hilarious in retrospect. It was just a bad move on their part. And Activision could, unlike Double Fine, Activision would have been fine. It was a profitable company. It had great, like, its CAGR numbers are insane. It was doing quite well for itself, other than the misconduct scandal, which I think who knows how that would have turned out if they weren't purchased by Microsoft. But the company would have been fine. The people there would have been fine. And that consolidation just did not need to happen, and is going to be, and like has just caused an uncountable amount of damage, like to people's lives and to the entire gaming industry. Fortunately, there's no other massive entertainment consolidation going on right now involving Warner Brothers and Paramount, because that sure would be bad to look at history and repeat it. That sure would be a mistake.
Oh, God. All right. It's a mess right now. But as always, it's a fascinating saga, and fingers crossed for all those studios that they can end up in an okay spot, and their employees can at least get out away from this atomic blast of Xbox's wrath at the moment. Hey, in happier news, things are going great in Philadelphia, everybody. That's right, the Adventures of Elliot, our favorite adventurer. He's on a roll. Jason Schreier, you teased us with the scoop of a lifetime on the name Philadelphia. Please, we must know.
Okay, so Adventures of Elliot, I spoke to the developers of that game, and I asked the producer and the director, I said, hey, like, why is it called Philadelphia, which is the name of the land in this game? We were talking about before the show how, like, somehow, like, all these people in this game just are like normal names with like a single letter changed or removed or added or something. Like, what was the one you mentioned, Ben?
Eugene, big character
with a Y. Eugene with a Y in the middle.
Who looks like me when I was 19 years old. That's what I looked like, if you ever wanted to know. I look like Eugene with a Y.
There you go. Good to know. Were you also like a scientist, like conducting lab experiments and stuff?
Yeah, I gave this random dude a javelin.
Smart.
I don't know.
Smart.
It just seemed important at the time.
Nice. So I asked them, and I said, hey, why is it called Philadelphia? And they said, well, it's not because of Philadelphia. They said it's because the origin is Firebird, and then they added the word dia to it, meaning continent, and the kind of the results are Firebird dia, which I guess when kind of translated from the katakana into English turned into Philadelphia.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's why you come to the MinnMax show.
And now we all like the name.
It's actually really smart.
And now I don't have to triple check that it's spelled correctly every time.
That's so many times, especially with Elliot.
And now you know.
All right, the game itself. Kyle, you've maybe been playing the most. I've played the first. There's a very generous demo out there that's like 4 to 6 hours or something of the prologue that progress carries over, which is a very nice Square Enix trend. Jason, you've been dabbling a little bit, but Kyle, I'm curious, what do you think about the Adventures of Elliot here?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not too much far beyond the prologue, but like it kind of surprised me how much I liked it, because I didn't really know what to expect. I was like, as much as I love Zelda, I'm not the biggest fan of like overhead combat, I guess you could say, but I was like charmed pretty quickly. Like I'm still into the HD 2D style. I know it's kind of falling out of favor and people are kind of annoyed by it, but like I think the combat feels good. Yeah. I like the sort of inventory of abilities. It is so much more Zelda-y than I expected. I just thought it was going to be sort of like Secret of Mana or something like that. But there is more Zelda to it in a way that it is, even though it's not like engaging me in this way that like I'm kind of going back and forth between it and Bond, where Bond is a much more like I have to sort of get ready for this experience and like sneak around and stuff, where Elliot's more like I'm just going to go and beat up some monsters and let the story, I will press the L button to let the story move forward by itself. I'm engaged by it and I like it. I'm into it. I think it's cool.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting just in the world of Team Asano games, which is, as far as I understand, it's just Asano over there at Square. It's just games that he is involved with, that he's a producer of. So it's not as clean as like, this is the Octopath Traveler team. It's technically the team, I think, Claytech Works that developed the Bravely Default series, but everything's kind of just this big HD 2D Asano umbrella and stuff. And this is kind of their take on Zelda in the same way, I guess, that Mina the Hollower's kind of, Yacht Club's take on Zelda. It's interesting to have these two in comparison back to back. Jason,
it's not full Zelda, to be clear.
Right,
it's just like closer to Zelda than I expected.
Yeah, and as the world's biggest Octopath Traveler 2 fan, Jason, is it living up to kind of that Team Asano pedigree at least?
I'm enjoying it. It's fine. It hasn't blown me away or anything. It's a tough comparison because I just I jumped to it after playing through Mina the Hollower, which is like one of the best 2D action games ever made. So jumping to a game that's just kind of fine mana-ish combat and Zelda-ish rudimentary puzzles isn't quite is always going to be a letdown after a game like Mina the Hollower. But I'm enjoying it. I mean, the story is kind of a mess. The fact that Elliot, your main character, is just the most goody two shoes, personality-less hero ever.
It makes me want to jump out a window. Like, again, I think this game is visually beautiful. I think the music's awesome. I think it has a lot of really smart quality of life things that are keeping me playing. At the same time, every time a character talks, I just am screaming, like, just say anything interesting instead of just, I'm a nice guy. Oh, yeah, Elliot? Well, I think you're very nice. Yeah, and I also like orphans. Hee, and the orphans like me too. It's just that for like 40 minutes. It's absurd. Kyle, is the narrative picking up at all for you?
I mean, not particularly. No, that's not what it is drawing me to this game, for sure.
It's just the action.
Yeah, and it's funny because, like, as much as I really liked Mina a lot and played it a lot, I got 100%. Like, I played the hell out of Mina. This is like weirdly a good chaser for that game because it is not as intense for me. Like, it's just like coming at the right time, where it's like the combat isn't as intense and it's not as punishing, and like I like it for that reason. But yeah, I mean, it's very like, yeah, like you guys are saying, like the sort of characterization is very like surface level, and it's not. I'm not eager to talk to people. I'm eager to get back out in the world,
which is a bummer,
and beat up some monsters. And there's a lot. The fast travel's really good. You know, like you don't have to sort of retrace your steps a lot. So mindless is too rude. But that's kind of the sort of the video game space it's filling for me right now, and it's what I'm in the mood for. So I'm enjoying it.
I can dig it. Yeah, Jason, does your Final Fantasy VI sense tingle when they talk about Magicite so much? It's like, ooh, they know which buttons to push.
Yeah, it's pretty good. The story, by the way, in Octopath Traveler 2 is significantly better, and the characters are way more interesting. Yes, my FF6 brain. Well, it's funny. It's the developers of this game told me they were most inspired by Adventures of Mana. Or sorry, not Adventures of Mana. Final Fantasy Adventure, which I believe was localized here as Sword of Mana a little bit later. But that was the Game Boy game, Final Fantasy Adventure.
Okay, Game Boy games, yes.
Which was the first Seiken Densetsu game, the first ever Mana game that was just released in the U.S. with the title Final Fantasy Adventure. Right. Presumably to get more people into Final Fantasy and buying it and checking it out rather than like using a new title. They did weird things with naming back then. They called FF6, they called it FF3, et cetera, et cetera. But yeah, that was the game that inspired them the most. And you can see that if you've played that game. Some of the monsters resemble Mana monsters. The kind of your wheels are very Mana like. The weapon collection is pretty much straight out of Final Fantasy Adventure.
Yeah.
You got your scythe, you got your kind of traditional sword, you got your javelin. So yeah, it definitely feels like those. It feels like a Mana game.
Yeah. All right, we'll keep playing it. Kyle, you gonna stick with it? Adventures of Elliot here?
Yeah, I am. I'm curious if I see it to the end. I'm playing it on Switch too. And it's just like, that's just a great platform for it because I can boot it up for a little bit and make some progress. And so like, it's not one that I like am so pulled in that I'm like, oh yeah, I'm seeing this thing to credits. But like I've been enjoying it so far.
Yeah, I'm very thankful they have the setting in settings there you can minimize how much your characters talk. Because like if you're annoyed by like,
I think it's literally chattiness. Right? Isn't that what it's like, a chattiness scale? Yeah.
Because there's a princess in your ear and it is like, as you're opening a treasure chest, gee, I wonder what's in this treasure chest. Like, just let me play the game, please.
Or worse, as you're opening a treasure chest, she says, oh, look, there's a treasure chest. Yeah, I turned it all the way down and it's still too much. So like maybe they can just get it down to like,
It's a lot. It's one of those games. It's kind of like one of those parody videos that you'll see of like modern games where it'll be like the camera will zoom over to a switch, and then after the camera zooms back, your fairy will be like, "Look, a switch. Maybe we can hit it." And then it'll get closer to the switch, and she'll be like, "There it is, the switch. You should try hitting that."
It's insane.
Every time you get hit by an enemy, she'll be like, "You should try using your shield." So first of all, I'm playing it on Steam Deck. Same thing as the Switch. Runs pretty great on Steam Deck. I've been playing on the hard difficulty, which makes it feel a little more intense. And I actually really like that. It makes the combat much more interesting, I think, than the normal difficulty. But your mileage may vary. If you just want to kind of turn your brain off for a bit, it might be better to play on normal or easy.
Yeah, right on.
yeah, I think we'll try that.
Well, there's Adventures of Elliot. Jason Schreier, thanks for being here, sir. You want to plug anything in particular?
Check out my YouTube channel. No, don't check out my YouTube. Check out the Triple Click podcast. That's where I like to spend most of my time. Triple Click.
Awesome. Subscribe now.
Check
Check
it
it
out.
out, please. Sweet. And we do something very obnoxious where we let people know that there's been a transition in the cast by giving a clap. So if you want to give it a clap, you're on out of here, dude.
Okay.
Bye. Haley McLean, welcome to the show. Also joined by Sarah Podorski. Welcome to the show. And that's Kyle's cue. He's scared of noises.
I am. I wish you would have let me leave already, Ben. Bye.
All right, Kyle Hilliard probably had to go to one spot and one spot only. What I call the paradise of the Midwest. You know where that is, Jacob Geller?
Oh, Ben, I should remember the name of it.
Yes, that's the point of these ad reads. Yes, Pocahontas County, Iowa, everybody. It's home to 11 large kaleidoscopes. How many times we need to tell you all about these freaking kaleidoscopes before you make a plan to discover Pocahontas County, Haley McLean?
This is our ad? That's awesome.
It's the best. It has large kaleidoscopes throughout its communities and county parks as part of the state's tourism initiative to take some time discovering what Iowa has to offer. Their kaleidoscopes offer a way to enjoy an affordable and fun vacation with your family, friends, and even if you want to go independently. While you're in the area, be sure to check out the 3 public schools, including the brand new Lorenz Aquatic Center located near the Lorenz Kaleidoscope and Sportsman Park, or catch one of the free movies during Tuesday mornings and Thursday afternoons at the Rialto Theater in downtown Pocahontas. There's several public parks to enjoy, places to eat and shop, entertainment to enjoy throughout the entire county. Look, don't go to some crowded crap hole for your summer vacation. Go to Pocahontas County. That's not their ad read, that's mine. You can add it to your travel list this year. You can go to discoverpoco.com to start planning your itinerary. That's discoverpoco.com. Thank you for giving us the most enjoyable ad read of all time, Pocahontas County, Iowa.
That was so wholesome.
Isn't that
Aw.
sweet? It's like we're back in
love
Doc Lightning
that.
again with the wholesome
Yeah,
nature.
it kind of reminded me of Doc Lighting with the footage.
Just like the opposite of Dead by Daylight, as non-wholesome as it gets. Because what if you were a murderer and then you had to pay money to be
It's
a murderer by
surprisingly
playing this game?
wholesome.
It's
that right?
surprisingly wholesome.
For
yeah,
all the
no.
murder, that's what I've discovered. Surprisingly wholesome.
Okay, walk us through this journey. Okay, so Dead by Daylight is a game that Haley has spent how many hours playing here?
At least 1,000, but it's split between 2 places, but at least 1,000.
Awesome. And then Sarah, you've been like a distant admirer of these serial killers?
I played around like 2020, I think.
Awesome. Okay.
Was when I had like a big Dead by
She's got
Daylight
some hours
era.
logged on Steam. I went and looked.
Okay.
She's
I got
some
hours, I got
logged.
hours.
Okay, she's legit.
Yeah.
She's legit. And then the idea was they're celebrating their 10th anniversary, and they had a big event up in Montreal, and very kindly flew Sarah and Haley out to it. And I feel like most games at their 10th anniversary, it's like, that's nice. I'm glad you're still around. And correct me if I'm wrong, but it's like breaking its concurrent Steam users still 10 years in. It's ridiculous.
Yep. The Jason DLC launched today, which they've been trying to get
Jason
since day
Schreier?
one. Jason Schreier. So like when they first launched Dead by Daylight, they tried to get Jason. And they couldn't get Jason, so they created the Trapper, which is very much like an homage to Jason. It's he puts traps on the ground. He kind of has his build, big unit of a guy with a blade.
Okay.
So they never got him, but like their main character, the branding of their game is based around Jason. The game's in the fog. You run away from this killer trying to kill you. So it's clearly a huge inspiration. So the fact that they got it a decade later is very sweet, that they're finally like, we did it yet. Everyone's just like freaking out. At the show, they had like a cosplay Jason walking around and he had like a escape room, so it looked like he had property in the port of Montreal, like a little shack, and you could like go up and unfortunately it closed, so Sarah and I couldn't go in it, but we did at the end of the day when it was empty over there, we were peeking inside and sneaking around. That'll be in the footage. You can see Jason's shack.
They shot a travelogue that should be up. The plan is early next week, showing off
fun.
This trip. Yeah, Sarah, how does it compare to your big Kyoto trip? Which, by the way, MinnMax Spotlight. The plan is to drop that before the end of June. So there's been a lot of travelogues lately. I get that. I know it's a little bit out of order release-wise, but that's coming soon. But Sarah, how did the trips compare for you?
I mean, it's so different, right? Because like the Kyoto trip was just like Haley and I embarking on our own, and like, you know, Bit Summit is very much a game about the games industry.
Yeah.
Whereas like for Dead by Daylight 10th anniversary in Montreal, we were very much like well taken care of. Like this is like the only time that they took such good care of us. They invited us to the office. We met the staff. They fed us food. We got cupcakes.
That's sweet.
It was very, very sweet, like the care that they took for us. And then it was more about the community of the game. So it's like I talked to some of the people who worked there, and a lot of them had never met before, but they invited people from all the different offices to come in, like met in person. So it was very much like a celebration of this community that's been around for 10 years, which is so worth celebrating.
Yeah.
They have 1,200 employees plus.
What?
Behavior. Yeah. 1,200 plus.
This game is just that successful? They just kept ballooning? That's ridiculous.
They have
I think that's the thing.
Other arms, but this is like their white whale for sure, yeah.
Is I feel like if you're not in the bubble of Dead by Daylight, it really isn't a game that's on your radar. But for the people who are in the bubble, like, it is a very solid game. It sounds like the dev team and the community have a really close relationship. Like, as somebody who's like an ex-community manager,
Yeah.
I'm always like testing the health of communities. And it's like, if I had to like test like the health of the waters of this community, I'd say like pretty healthy.
That's
Really healthy for 10 years.
for like a living game. I feel like 10 years
Yeah.
in. I mean, you can compare it to like the state of the Destiny community, which now maybe is healthier just because they're like rallying around trying to be like, this thing was good, damn it, don't let it die, you know? But like, was it like a big geek out trip for you, Haley? Was there stuff that you freaked out seeing?
I was freaking out a lot, Sarah could attest. I was running around. We made part of the video. We involved a lot of cosplayers. So we were going up and asking questions to cosplayers. That's going to be so fun to see rapid fire. But Sarah, at one point you were like, I think we have enough footage. And I was like, a few more. It's just like so fun to talk to them. They're all so cute. Like, it is interesting that it's such a scary, dark game, and it attracts such pleasant people. Like every time we went up, we're like, we love your cosplay. They're like dressed as the scariest. Like this guy was the trapper. He literally had the build. He was the trapper. We went to him, we're like, love your cosplay. He's like, thank you. Like it was just like so freaking adorable. They're all so cute. And everyone was having such a good time. The devs were like beaming. Like Sarah and I got to sit with where the devs were sitting during their big announcement that they streamed on Twitch, where they announced like 25 things. It was just like rapid fire, and people were popping. Like at one point when they announced, like Dwight came out and had a skin with Scooby-Doo onesie, and people got out of their seats and were like shaking each other and screaming. And like you look at the devs and they're like the devs are just like, yippee, they like it. It's just, it fills your cup up. It was the sweetest thing.
It's very rare as a developer to get to like physically see your community, and there was like what 3,000 people there.
Whoa.
And like
At least,
the stage
yeah.
went so far back. It was like the entire upper level of like a parking garage, and the chairs went back as far as you could see. And like just imagine being a developer working on this game for 10 years, announcing things and actually getting to see your community, like your most invested players who came out to celebrate with you, freak out about this kind of stuff.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing, is like you could say, oh, these events, they must cost so much money and flying people up there, but it's like the morale boost that the developers would get from being in that environment, like that's worth its weight in gold, you know? Like I think it's absolutely worth their while to make this huge thing. So okay, what are the big announcements? Jason, that's huge. Scooby-Doo is coming, which that's a big deal for me. It's like, it's weird when like that gets my head to turn more than any of his
that
horror
got the
icons.
whole room's head turning like crazy. So the
And
big
is
thing with
Scooby-Doo a monster?
No, so it'll be cosmetics. The big thing with Dead by Daylight is they have chapters, and then they have like cosmetic packs, which is skins and items and stuff like that. So to do a chapter is actually a big deal, because you'd have a killer come in who has unique perks that could change the meta, and usually a survivor as well, who then has unique perks that come in and change the meta. So a chapter is a big thing. So the Jason chapter just released, like that's out, and Jason comes out, has his own unique abilities, his own unique skill, 3 perks. you could move on to any other killers. It's a lot more work. But then they have cosmetic packs. So, like one of their other cosmetic pack was Diablo 4. So now the artist is getting a Lilith skin. It would be cool if Lilith came to the game and was a killer, but that would require like probably 100 times more development work because now it's a playable thing instead of just an item.
Yeah.
So they kind of balance between IP just in skins versus implementation into the game. And as far as I can tell, yeah, it's like it would require like probably 2 years of frontline to get a character into a game versus a skin, which could be turned around probably in a few months.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you think, Sarah, it's like, oh, this is a nice thing to check in on? Is it going to change how much you're going back to Dead by Daylight moving forward? Do you think it's like, all right, I'm convinced this is actually the best?
Dead by Daylight is a fun game, but it does still have that like beginner hump.
It has
with
an onboarding hump.
It kind of has a bit of an onboarding ramp, but they are giving away like how many blood points to help new players.
10 million.
10 million.
What?
So
I don't know what
insane
that
amount.
means, but that sounds like a
it's
lot.
like when
be a
you
lot
start Dead
or
by
not.
Daylight, you have to like level up characters to get better perks. So it's like you have to play the game with sort of worse perks before you can get better perks that all the other players have.
You can't
so
move
they're
perks
kind of
until you
easing
level
that.
them up. Yeah.
Yeah, so they're kind of easing that pinch point.
It essentially lets you level up like 10 characters when usually you'd have like to get 10 million blood points would take dozens and dozens of games. So they're letting you skip it. Like new players could come in and skip ahead and level up the 4 free survivors and just get going with switching their perks around and maybe buy a couple and stuff like that.
That's smart, yeah. Backstage Pass chat says that you two should be roommates by now. You've gone so
No, we're
I
like
said
we
we-
keep saying we're a bonded pair at the shelter now. Like we got split up for this trip. We weren't in the same room, and we were like, meh. Like we were sad about it. And Sarah
You
just
have
came-
to adopt both of them.
Sarah would just come over to my room because my room had better AC, and she'd stay there till like 1:30 in the morning, and then go back to her room. Like we were a very bonded pair.
That's very sweet. I'm looking forward. Like, I haven't started editing this video yet, but it's going to be fun to see it as kind of the follow up to the Kyoto one. Strangely enough, just to see.
Are you the one editing it?
I'm planning on it. Yeah.
Oh, you're gonna have to cut out a lot. We're quite inappropriate times. So we even call you. We go, Ben, will you leave this in? So I'm curious.
No, I go, can you believe we're going to make some poor editor, probably Ben, listen to us talk about this?
All right. Well, there's going to be the Backstage Pass version, which I think is like 5.5 hours long, if my math is
Is it
correct.
really?
Yeah. So for the
Wow.
$10 tier, you'll unlock that version, and apparently
We had to beat the SGF 3 hours. 3 hours, that's rookie numbers. We're absolute rookie numbers.
Is that thing is? I thought that too, and I forget what it was. I went back and looked at some old travelogue. I think it was like maybe our SGF or something, and it was only like 3.5 hours for the extended version as well. Like back in the day, that was seen as like that's a ridiculous amount, and now the Kyoto vlog, it's 20 hours for the Backstage Pass
That's
version.
insane.
It's truly insane.
Can I say something?
Yeah.
I thought that this year's SGF cut too short.
Too short.
Yeah.
Fair.
It was moving me through there. I mean, it's like I know I could watch the Backstage Pass one, which is however long, but I was like, come on, we got to spend more time up here.
That's very thoughtful. Yeah, you're probably right. Yeah, that's on me. I was trying to get it out in a very timely manner, and I was like, all right, I'm being a little bit drastic with some of these cuts so I can just get this thing out there for folks. And it's always like, I don't know, Jacob, it's the YouTube game, right? I'm like, 15 minutes, maybe that'll get people to click through. Then I look at the previous ones, like, oh, we've done like an hour at SGF before in the past, so it's a little
What do you
squirrely.
mean the YouTube game is always make stuff longer? Unless you're making a literal short, I think longer does better.
Yeah, it's confusing. Well, hey, more about Dead by Daylight in the near future for sure. Anything else you're dying to say from that trip?
Haley got to play on the big screen.
What?
She got to
fun.
play, yes.
Yeah.
So we went to like the PlayStations where you could play with content creators, but they also just had open stations for people to have like pickup games at. And they had like seating, like chairs, and people were watching on 2 big monitors, kind of waiting their turn to play. And Haley very politely went up to wait for her turn to play, and she got picked, and she got to play Killer. And she's like, oh, I hope they don't put me on like the big screen, because there was like 3 stations going on, so it was cycling. And Haley sits down, immediately locks in. I look up, I look at her monitor, I look at the big monitor, and I'm like, uh-oh. I'm like, Haley, I didn't tell her because I didn't want her to get freaked out. I didn't want her to choke. But her and I, we were both sweating. And
I was sweating.
then Haley dummied them. She did so good. People in the audience clapped, and that sounds fake. But I recorded
It sounds fake, but they
People clapped.
Whoa.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, it has to be nice to be picked for that. Like, if they put my gameplay footage up on the big screen, I would bash my head into the monitor until I passed out. But, like, as someone who's put, like, 1,000 or more hours into this game, it must be a moment of, like, yeah, here we go. Like, it must be satisfying, right?
Oh my god, I clench my butt more playing Dead by Daylight, and I'm the killer. I'm a killer main, so I would say 95% of my time has been killer, 5% survivor. So I'm really bad at survivor, and I was so scared that they were gonna put me up because I also all my keybinds for survivor are different. So I was like, oh crap, what's the button for use item? I have it as M3. Like it's gonna be something weird. I can't remember. So I was already like embarrassed. I was gonna die, but then she said, oh, like a drag queen left before me, so that the killer spot was open. She's like, do you want to be killer? And I was like, yeah, and I was so excited. But then as soon as I looked up at one point and I saw my stuff on the screen, I turned to Sarah. I went, "Oh my God, Sarah!" She goes, "I know. Don't look." I was just like locked the hell in. It was
I
very
kept trying
satisfying.
to tell her like, okay, you're not on the big screen anymore, but she wasn't. I don't think she fell for it.
No, because I could
Don't
look
worry,
to my
Haley.
right and see
Haley,
it.
you're not up there anymore.
And they were good survivors, right? Because I was going against people that were dressed as the skin in the game they were playing as.
Yeah,
Like
the talent pool at that event was probably much higher than random online matchmaking.
Yes, like the Dwight beside me was playing Dwight in the game with the same skin he had on, and I was like, oh my god, he probably has played this for a million hours. But I killed him. I killed that Dwight.
Good on you. Yeah, footage coming soon. Near future on MinnMax YouTube channel. So keep your eyes open for all that fun stuff. Jacob, what is going on? Are you going down a rabbit hole for the sake of a video? Or are you naturally falling down a rabbit hole, Pinocchio-esque, just about
what's
playing
so
games?
exciting is it's not related to my work at all.
Yeah, it is now, buddy.
At the beginning of this episode, you were like, oh, we're gonna like talk about all the good plain games, and I feel like that's like way over promising, because what I'm at now is like I'm like learning to speak a new language, and that is what's really fun. Is I picked up Ace Combat 7 and had a great time with it, and then I was like, I want to play another one of these. I went back to an Ace Combat 0, and it was a hard transition going from 7 because it doesn't have checkpoints at all in the game, and the difficulty is a little bit hard. But then I started playing Project Wingman, which was not an official Ace Combat game, but it's very much a like biggest fans of Ace Combat in the world took their crack at making an Ace Combat game, and it's unbelievably good.
Really?
And actually also doesn't have checkpoints, but like at this point in time, I think I like Project Wingman more than Ace Combat 7.
Whoa.
But now I'm just like I am legitimately considering buying a flight stick, is the headspace that I'm in.
Hell yeah.
That's right. Okay, so if we could just transfer the title of Playing Guy from Sarah onto Jacob Geller, that would be great.
You're playing guy. No, you're playing guy.
Yeah, it just doesn't fit
Jacob
on
can be
anybody
playing
else.
girl. Jacob can be playing girl. That would feel good.
Mr. and Mrs. Plain, I think, is how they like to be referred. Yeah, plain and tall. So what is it about Wingman? Because I'm looking at it, it's got overwhelmingly positive reviews on Steam, but it's like, oh, well, there's no way it can have like the pizzazz, the style that Ace Combat has, right?
No, that's what really is really cool, is that I guess what I should say is I know that people are really into the Ace Combat stories, and I don't think 7 is generally regarded as having like one of the better ones. It's a storytelling method that for me is hard to take in, because it's just people squawking at you while you are dogfighting.
Right,
and I have a really hard time keeping people straight, especially if I like can't see their names. Like I don't learn people by just like their voices. And so that's all challenging. What Project Wingman has that Ace Combat 7 did not is the use of like weather and lighting is just bananas and is so cool. There's an early level in Project Wingman where, and these are all, we haven't even said, these are games where you're fighter jets and you just fly close to things and you lock on with missiles and you shoot them with your missiles. Like that's what the games are, and they're very arcadey. They are not Microsoft Flight Simulator. You can do lots of flips and tricks and your plane never falls out of the sky. Project Wingman has this level early on where you start and you're like, there's a fleet of boats that you have to destroy and there's a very low cloud cover and there's a thunderstorm, and then above the cloud cover there's like beautiful blue skies, a bunch of planes up there that you have to fight, but there's like this thick level of clouds in the middle and you're having to go up and down through them. And so you will have sequences where you're like running from a missile will get in the clouds, legitimately be like, I do not know which way is up. Like, I am so scared because if I pull up the wrong way, I'm going to fly directly into the ocean.
Yeah.
And like that happening with lightning striking, and then like the feeling of getting better at these is really exciting because so much of it is just learning how to move your plane. So yeah, it's just been like learning a new skill set in the kind of action game format is a thing that I've just been loving.
Dude, you realize how close you are to making this 5 times as good, which is Project Wingman is available in PSVR 2.
In VR, yeah, I know. In PC VR.
Okay,
I don't have to buy it on PlayStation.
Okay, play it in VR with a flight stick. You will crap your pants. It's going to be so
maybe
fun.
Literally and vomit.
Yeah.
So I have to learn how to play it a little better
What a sweet day it's going to be. It's funny you mentioned, Sarah, do you still have love? Are you going to like lock in for Ace Combat 8 just because you had a good time streaming 7?
For sure. Like I loved Ace Combat 7.
Okay.
I loved it, but it's like I loved it for I feel like different reasons than Jacob did.
Yeah.
Because like what I liked about Ace Combat 7 is like they really made it so like if you just want to play it with the most simple controls, we can give it to you. But if you want to play it as granularly as possible, we can give it to you. I was just there for like the camp of it all, you know,
totally.
The story was absolutely nonsensical. The characters were nonsensical. Like the nations are crazy. And I'm like, oh, well, if I play the other game, would I understand? And the answer is probably not. There's a space elevator that I have to protect. Like I eat that up. I eat it up. It absolutely had me like screaming and gasping, and like it was such a fun game. So yeah, I'm absolutely playing Ace Combat 8.
Yeah, it's so delightfully dope. You're like, yeah, the world is called Strange Reel, which is cool. And then I was just looking at the series, and like, oh, I forgot Ace Combat 3 was called Electrosphere. It's like just having a subtitle of Electrosphere. I'm like, hell yeah, what is going on here? And like, I played Ace Combat 4 and really loved it on PS2, and Ace Combat Zero completely missed me somehow, but like with the announcement, like, oh, you pre-order 8, you get the remastered version of Ace Combat Zero, the Belkin War. I was like, oh, I'm curious, like why there's this passionate fan base for this one, and so that's how I spent my morning, was like with my morning coffee, playing Belkin War on PS2, Jacob, because I went back to it too, and I was just struck by like, God, just the style on this frickin' thing. If you love Remedy games, you know, this is opening with just like live action footage.
Live action, yeah.
Yeah, live action actor. And then just like all the UI, everything is just like dripping with PS2 style in a way that is awesome. Like before you even start the first mission, Haley McLean, there's just a loading screen that says, quote, "For after all, what is man in nature? A nothing in relation to infinity, all in relation to nothing. A central point between nothing and all, and infinitely far from understanding either." Bam! Ace Combat!
And what's great is they don't have like a bunch of quotes for the loading screen. It's just that. You see it before every mission, and you just get to ponder it the whole game.
And then the part that is secretly, I think, a juggernaut too, is like the music is so freaking good. It's like, especially in Ace Combat Zero, it's like Harry Gregson Williams, Metal Gear Solid style music, but then like flamenco guitars and just choruses belting it out. Like just the track called Zero from that game, I was listening to it over and over again today. It freaking rules.
Yeah, the music for all of them is amazing. What I've heard, someone on Blue Sky told me that Ace Combat 4, 5, and 0 are considered a trilogy, and in part, they were like the difficulty kind of like of 0 starts assuming that you have played those other games. Right. And so I might go back even earlier and then work my way back up. But like, I also played the Ace Combat 7 DLC. Sarah, have you played the DLC?
No.
It is camp on camp.
Oh my
there are like,
gosh.
you're fighting two people who I can't remember if they're actually siblings or if they've just like adopted each other, and they're both like insane, and then when you shoot one of them down, the other one goes like even more insane, and you're fighting. The last big mission is literally just against a submarine. So you're a fighter pilot fighting a submarine that is shooting like rail guns at you.
Hell yeah. Is this opening the door at all? I'm curious how this, torrid love affair is going to impact Star Fox, which is launching next week. Do you have like more of an inkling to check out Star Fox now, Jacob, because of this? Or is it now it's like nothing can compare to
Wow, interesting that you didn't ask me that question, bud.
Well, Sarah, how do you feel about Star Fox, other than loving the design, which you've made very clear?
I'm not gonna play it.
Okay.
But thanks for asking.
Jacob,
For
how are you
including me
feeling
in the
about it?
She
conversation.
just wants
You
to be
betcha.
seen. She just wants to be
I
seen.
see you. Star Fox sees you. He loves you.
I honestly think it will make my experience with Star Fox more negative if I play it, because it's like riding a bicycle and then being handed a tricycle that's like being pulled behind someone else's bike. You know, they just don't let you. It's like Star Fox. You
great
don't
analogy.
really control the ship. You just kind of move in like a 2D plane while 3D things happen around you.
Yeah, but the storytelling's going to be so good. And you want to talk about camp. Star Fox is the king of Nintendo camp, Sarah.
Is it?
Oh, it's campy as all hell. Absolutely.
Luigi is the king of camp.
Oh, yeah, I guess
Nintendo.
Luigi kind of takes that throne. You're right.
Speak his name.
Luigi. Hey, what is up with Paralives, y'all? This is the Sims clone is too much. Sims inspired game.
Inspired.
Yeah.
Legally inspired. This one got out the door. There were so many like Sims wannabes that were in production, like Paradoxes, which is called Life by You, that was canceled. Jake Solomon, who we had on the show talking about the early stages of that project at Midsummer Studios, that was canceled. Didn't make it through the door. Inzoi released, but maybe people are a little more mixed on it. And then Paralives swings in as a project in the works for oh so long.
Yeah.
Do you like it?
I am liking it. I was really nervous because a lot of people are putting their eggs in the Paralives basket. And it's a lot because they're an indie dev team. You know, they're not like Inzoi where it's like a company with like a bigger dev team and more resources. Like they are an indie dev team, and I feel like what they were able to create, I'm just like I'm so impressed by. I feel like they added a lot of great quality of life things in Paralives that aren't in The Sims. It's absolutely it's a Sims game made by people who like The Sims, but you can tell they wanted to fix certain things about The Sims.
Right. Is it too much of a shorthand to be like, this is kind of a new take on Sims 3 with more of kind of like that quote unquote open world
Yeah,
idea?
it's so nice to be back in the open world. Yeah.
It is, yeah.
Okay. What does that mean then? Just like I saw, that you can go and like build up a community center and museum and stuff. You can go check out all these other buildings, which sounds like a cool idea.
Well, when you go to work, you physically go to a specific building. Like
That's
every
the thing.
job has different tiers that then actually have a physical building, to the point that I actually moved houses so I could be next door to my work to help my commute. Like there's little
weird.
things like that. Yeah, like little things like that. And I think it's really good at implementing systems that have never been in The Sims. So a big part of why I like Paralives, because I went into this kind of nervous too.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a smaller team. I don't know if I necessarily love the way the Paralives characters work. What do they call? I'm going to call them Sims, but the way the
Paras.
Sims work.
They call them paras.
Yeah, I've been saying a lot of Sim verbiage while I think and talk about this game. I don't love the way they look. It's it's a much smaller team, so I can respect that. But then like all these different systems are so interesting. Like for example, I wanted my girl to be a painter. And kind of in The Sims, you just get an easel, they paint, and then you join the art career and they sort of level up. In this, how do I even describe it? There's so many things that are happening. So like I have her have the life goal of wanting to be a painter, but then, her creativity goes up with all these different numbers that affect it. If she's happy, if she has high creativity, if she recently engaged in something else creative, if she has an art job that she likes, like all these things show up when you hover over her skill increasing and apply different boosts so that she earns art skills maybe 15 times faster, 30 times faster than like somebody who's only interested in sports who tries to practice art. So like automatically she's jumping up, but then with every skill, there's also a more general skill that's going up on top of that. So art for her was her other skill, and that has its own boost that'll go up and down. And then if I wanted to, this is very much like the way that you advance in your career is not sticking with the same employer. It's like jumping around to different employers. So I'll be like working at my girl started as the receptionist at the museum, and then I saw that there was a better job that's like 10 levels ahead. I could stick at the museum and grind it out to get to level 10, or I could jump over and get a better job. And my previous experience at the museum added a modifier that made it easier to get that other job, because they recognized that I was already in an art career for 3 levels, and that was like plus 3 levels. It's easier to apply for that job now. Like there's all of those kind of things in the back end that makes my brain go, oh yeah, because it's just caring about the time you're putting into things instead of just the one track, like now you're level 2, get your creativity to 5, you did it. Now you're level 3, get your creativity to 6, you're done. There's all these other things going on, so it makes it feel more like an RPG that you're planning ahead like 25 steps instead of 1, which is really fun.
And now you understand, like, you know, The Sims had a really, really tough development, and now you understand why Paralives was also in development for what, like 7 years or something? Because like if you're building this thing, then you're like, oh, well, how do I not have the idea that you can get ahead at your job if you go to a different place and then return? Like, there's just an infinite, because it's life, and there's just an infinite level of complexity that you can bake into this thing. And for the fact that they pulled it off as much as they have in early access, like, do you feel the early access kind of limits of this whole thing?
I mean, there is like a limited amount of like furniture objects compared to The Sims. There's like a limited amount of like not everything is open in the game. Like the game has this really cute general store. And you can like, it looks like eventually you'll be able to go and like buy things at the general store, like things for your fridge and stuff, which I think is a really cute way to make it immersive. But like that's currently off limits right now. But I think, and some of the building stuff is like, they're like, hey, so like you can make a rounded wall. Because that's like the thing about Paralives, right? Is you can make rounded walls. Okay. But you can't put like windows or doors on them yet, but windows and doors will be coming eventually.
Okay. Those types of things. All right.
Or even when you build, like building is a lot better in this. It's obviously, like Sarah was just saying, way 1/1000th less items to play with. But like when I'm building a couch, you can kind of see in the gameplay footage, because a lot of my time is spent building. I like building. You can drag the couch to be as long as you want.
Yeah,
like,
that's so fun.
That's so fun. Or like if I have a plant, I can size it up or down. And a kind of a classic thing people complain about with The Sims is that when you're putting stuff on shelves, there's like 2 places to put things and that's it. And you kind of have to use like the Alt tab and put it somewhere else and then zhuzh it over, and then you can do what you want. You have to use a lot of
cheats in The Sims. Like you have to do the move all objects. Like you have to kind of know The Sims debug menu commands if you want to be good at decorating in The Sims.
Yeah, and this
whereas
is
with Paralives, you don't have to know any debug commands. It's all there from the beginning. You can like put windows together, and like this is gonna sound so dumb, but like the fact that Paralives just gives you the hexadecimals for colors on things. You're like, duh, what the heck? Of course, like, why? Because The Sims, it's like, well, we only have like these 3 shades of red for this couch, and you're like, nothing in The Sims can match color-wise. But like in Paralives, they're just like, here's a color wheel, have at it.
Why not? And even like the granularity just for like creating your paras or whatever, like you can individually customize the color of each sock. It's like, all right, this is like a level of granularity that's absurd here.
Move the tattoos exactly where you want them on their body.
You can also make yourself short. And I didn't realize when I made my para that I could change my height. And then I was like, wait, am I short?
What a nightmare existence.
Imagine.
Yeah. So any dings so far? Like, is it just... Here's my question. Why isn't this going to be the new default Sims for people? Is it just that word hasn't spread enough? Because like it's selling well, but do you think it is like if you have this craving, it's just going to be like, well, this is going to be it?
A lack of... Like, I don't want to say a lack of content, but a lack of content, right? The Sims has been around for like several years and people have spent thousands of dollars
and the mods are all there.
And the mods are all there. But I think Paralives sold a lot. Yeah. And I'm suspecting that once they start to like churn out, additional content, whether better AI for children type situation, like, I think people will come back to it. Yeah. Yeah. The modding scene they've already made it, I think, pretty easy for modders, which is a huge thing for indie games. Like how easily can your game be modded is like really affects the life cycle. So I think it'll be around for a while. I don't know. I went back to Inzoi. Yeah. After Paralives came out, just to like compare and contrast. And it's like, I don't know. I definitely like Inzoi definitely looks better and it definitely has more. But I feel like Paralives just feels more comfortable to me. Yeah, it's a little glossy over at Inzoi, a little AI polish on everything. That's I don't know what to say, but like Inzoi, like you can just tell that something's like a game was made with evil, and that's how I feel when I play Inzoi. I can't describe it, but I'm like, why do I feel like this game was made with evil?
I like how the UI in Paralives is everything is visualized, which I really appreciate. Like I was flirting with this girl and it has a little spinner that it's like you'll have a 35% chance to ask if she's single if she takes it well or not because you don't know her well enough. And in The Sims, it's like you ask that and they just go wabadoo and they get mad. You're like, oh, I failed it. This, you see the spinner go around. You're like, you like
That's
hope for
fun.
it to hit. Like things like that are just making me have a lot of fun with it. But I wonder about the replayability because it does feel like you're sort of going through experience with a para. And I wonder if I'm only ever going to want to do one experience per type of sim or pair, whatever. Like, okay, I tried once with the painter and that was kind of fun. Now I'm going to do one with a tech bro. Okay, I did that. Here's my vet character. I did that. Like, once I do every career or like life goal, will it be a little bit boring? I don't know.
Yeah.
But by then, I think they'll release new content, and I really hope they don't do free DLC. I hope they do paid, just because like I want them to get money for it. And I don't like that the indie thing is like all DLC has to be free because it's like I'm like, no, charge money,
Please.
you deserve it.
They'll make like the season stuff free, like anything that is kind of de facto in The Sims free, and maybe other things could be paid. Yeah.
It's $40 on Steam for Paralives if you want to jump on in now. And the water's good. Don't wait if you're a Sims fan. Is that the?
No, yeah, it's good.
I know. I think
It's
you should
buggy,
check it out.
but it's gonna be buggy. The Sims is buggy, and that's freaking a million years old. So
Yeah.
The Sims is buggier than honestly, The Sims is buggier than Paralives currently is in early
That's
access.
insane. That's insane.
Yuck. Hey, there's a bunch of stuff on Steam happening. Steam Next Fest. I think it's going through like the 22nd, I believe, with a bunch of amazing demos. Like the crazy thing is, everybody fights like hell to go to Summer Game Fest and the play days and everything. And then it's like, oh, it turns out like a lot of the big games that were there that people were doing previews of, it's just on Steam Next Fest, right?
When I heard that the Shinobi demo was like available immediately after, and I know that the people who went to SGF got to play like a slightly different demo.
Oh, Onimusha, you mean.
Or Onimusha, not Shinobi.
Yes.
Too many ninjas. But it was like, guys, don't go to LA. Sit in your house and just wait.
Yeah, you can have a huge chunk of the SGF experience just by sitting through all these Steam Next Fest demos. When I mentioned covering this on the show, Jacob, you're like, Sprawl Zero! You gotta play Sprawl Zero! Is that number one for you?
It's hard to say. I actually just played the Blood Dungeon demo this morning, which was, I know everyone who went to SGF was really hot on that, and that is very fun and ridiculous. That's the one from the, what is the sword fighting game?
Nidhogg.
It's a very like fun, kind of ugly in a charming way platformer Vampire Survivors like. But Sprawl Zero is fun because we have been talking for a long time about like first indie games, they looked like, they were pixel art, and now they kind of, for a while they've looked like PS1. And Sprawl Zero is the first kind of indie game I've played that it's like, this is an Xbox era game.
Xbox One. Yeah.
Where Xbox, like, no, you not the Xbox One, Ben. The original Xbox. Where it is like, it's a first person shooter very much in the style of kind of a Halo or
a Half-Life.
Something. Yeah, it's a like kind of narrative focused, but not. It's a gameplay focused, but it spends a long time setting up how badass you are as a character who's like a guy in an armor suit who can shoot stuff. And then you just go blast your way through this big kind of future but rundown city, and you're slowing down time. Your bullets are magnetizing to enemies. You can telekinesis things in the environment. You can put up a shield to block bullets and then throw all the bullets back at everyone. It's kind of like all of those original Xbox games, they all had one mechanic, and what if we just put them all in the same game is kind of what this feels like.
Yeah, it is ridiculous. I was thinking of you, Sarah, while playing it, because it's like, it looks like Half-Life, feels a little bit like Half-Life in some ways, except you have things called gravity gloves on, and it's basically just like, do you remember the fist that you get at the end of the Resident Evil 7 DLC that we played?
Oh, yeah.
Where it's just like, it turns everybody just into like bloody mist when you punch them. You basically have that from the beginning of this demo. I'm just throwing these gravity gloves, just kadoosh, and everyone's just exploding in front of you. It's so satisfying.
It's so funny that it's like in every other kind of first-person shooter, it's like, look, you have a melee attack. It's kind of a last resort. It's not as strong as your weapons. You don't want to use it. And this is like, you have a melee attack. It's slow. It will turn everything in front of you into mist.
Yes. Yeah. It seems really cool. There's not a release date yet for it, but it's from Kwa Lee is the publisher, who also did Town to City, which we're big fans of, and Luna Abyss, which we enjoyed quite a bit. And there's the unfortunate news that an entire studio was just shut down after that game's launch, which is brutal.
Yeah, it sucks.
It sucks, but that's a good one. Sprawl Zero, you can check out. And then, Jacob, I coerced you to play Over the Hill, the little car game that I was very curious about, because I'm just curious, because the pitch is very much like, hey, you're driving this little car trying to get across these environments. I'm like, is this going to appeal for Jacob? Is it baby steps for cars? You know, easy mode baby steps, I suppose, with cars.
It wasn't quite. I think it's more of a, you know, like certainly at the demo, it was very relaxing. I didn't. Part of playing the game probably is learning how to, you know, like what control you have over your vehicle.
Right.
I wasn't like, oh my gosh, it's so fun to move this Jeep around this environment in, you know, the 30 minutes or so that I played of it.
Right.
But it is a very pretty, you know, it's kind of like, hey, if you just wish that there was like a version of Firewatch that you could just kind of like hang out in and drive around. I like that aspect. It's very much like, you know, driving a Jeep through a national park, but not destroying protected wildlife.
Right. And I don't know if this makes it like a dad game or not, but it's weird to geek out about like, oh boy, a winch. Like if you get excited about the idea of like attaching a winch to stuff and slowly pulling your car out of mud. But yeah, in a very aesthetically pleasing way. I'm still excited about Over the Hill. It's basically like, I was looking forward to the game and I just dabbled with the demo to be like, is this good? Okay. All right. I can look forward to the 1.0 release when this thing eventually comes out.
It looks like it has multiplayer.
Yes, that's kind of the big thing. Yeah.
Yeah, you won't believe the message that I sent to Ben last night and then him just completely rejecting me.
Let me guess. Was it, will you play this game with me?
Now, Jacob, the good news is I wasn't sitting on a couch smoking weed watching YouTube videos. I got a lot of work to do over here, man. I'm sorry. I'm up late every night.
And no time to make for your friends who want to play the games with them that they recommended for you.
Okay, make the podcast better.
Cherish your friends.
Mm-hmm.
Damn it.
Cherish them, Ben.
Okay, but I have to make like this video for my kid's birthday and it's coming up on Thursday, and so I'm scrambling to do that.
A video is going up for your son's birthday?
No, I make a little video for him every year.
Oh, that's
and so
cute.
It's like clock's ticking.
And if he doesn't get that video, he's gonna go into a rage and quit.
Ben's like, the timing on these edits is off. He's gonna
no.
Look, it might not be for him, but it's nice on his birthday, you know, that morning for like my wife and I and the kiddos to like watch it all together. So my wife's gonna fly.
It's crazy that as like a video editor, you're like, and for my kid's birthday, they each get one fan video. Like it literally is it not just fan cam of your child's year that they've been growing? It's
basically that. Yeah. Don't tell him.
I want one.
Okay,
but
Where's this on my birthday?
It's basically every travelogue is that for you, Sarah.
Yeah, that's true. He's got us there.
I'm assuming you left this other game that you wrote down for last because you knew that it would be the biggest hit.
Ooh, did you like it?
Sensory Overload?
Hell yeah, Sensory Overload. I saw Jeff Grubb post about it and I was like, okay, is it like a high score chasing grubby type of thing? Let me check it out. What did you think of Sensory Overload, Jacob?
I was upstairs. I was like, you know, the music is pounding. I'm screaming, and Annie was like, "What are you doing?" And I was like, it's kind of like in an 80s movie if they showed a kid playing a future video game.
Yeah.
That's what it feels like.
I mean, this looks like Roblox.
Ooh, it probably technically
you could literally play this on Roblox for free.
Don't tell us
what
that.
What it feels like to me is actually like those crazy Geometry Dash levels, because literally the whole gameplay is you're just moving the mouse and it's just like, don't hit the walls.
Yeah.
And then every time I would scream, Annie would be like, what happened? I'd be like, I hit a wall. And you just do that 40 times, but eventually you get through the level. But it is just like, it's completely hypnotic. The music is good. And it's the kind of thing where I had to stop playing because I was like, this is going to F up my sleep so bad if I keep playing this, because you'll close your eyes and you'll get like Tetris affected. You'll just keep seeing.
Yeah, it feels so good to play with the mouse though, just for like just razor precision for trying to get by these things. Maybe you can scrape the edge and get too close there as you're trying to dodge. It kind of has like it put me in a similar mindset as like oh my gosh, why am I forgetting my favorite mobile game?
Super Hexagon?
Super Hexagon, yeah. It gives me
Yeah.
that same vibe, but especially playing on a PC, it's like I finished playing Sensory Overload and I was like, it is messed up how my brain is feeling right now.
The
It is
footage
not
is
well.
making me feel barfy. I have it on my other screen.
It's crazy to play a game where you literally don't move your eyes from the exact center of the screen. Like it's like giving you like score pop-ups and there's like a meter on top to be like, how close are you to the end of the level? It's like, I will never look at that. My eyes are exactly in the center of my screen for the entire time.
Yeah, the good news is it comes out in a month. It's coming out July 20th from Pancake Studios for Sensory Overload.
I don't know if I can play this.
You should
Again,
try it.
with
Just try
Mom.
it. Just feel alive a little bit. Just puke to feel
It's
alive.
better when you play it, you're controlling it. So it's like,
Yeah.
it looks car sick to watch someone else play it, but I mean, you're used to barfing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm barfing.
Because she gets
Wow.
from everything.
I'll barf.
Great. You know what doesn't make me barf, Sarah Pazurski?
What?
Pocahontas County.
Pocahontas County, Iowa. Go down there. Puke-free territory. Also, the internet in general, specifically my favorite spot on the internet, which is patreon.com/MinnMax with 2 N's. That's how this whole thing exists. Everybody can go there and unlock a benefit that is right for you, find something sustainable for you. You can drop down a tier if you need to, drop up a tier if you want to, unlock more benefits, completely up to you. We greatly appreciate it. That's how literally this whole thing operates. And special shout out, of course, to our dear friends over at I Am 8-Bit. They want everybody to know about the Scott Pilgrim EX game, the physical versions of that, which are I Am 8-Bit exclusives on Nintendo Switch 2 and PS5, then also the vinyl soundtrack for Scott Pilgrim EX with music by Anamanaguchi, of course. So cool stuff. Of course, everything I Am 8-Bit does and touches is cool because they are very good at what they do. Not only do they put on the whole Summer Game Fest event, but they also just choose great partners. They have amazing items in their store, and you can go there and use the promo code Return of the 6th. Return of the 6th, no space, for 10% off of everything under $100. And you should go support I Am 8-Bit with that promo code Return of the 6th, because each and every week they ship out a prize to the MinnMax community. Whoever submits the best question over there on Patreon wins a prize physically, mailed right to their house. This is something I Am 8-Bit does every week. They've been doing it for years and years and years. So thank them by using that promo code. This week, whoever's the best question submitted on Patreon wins Lo-Fi Gravity Falls vinyl. Haley, you listen to this? You Gravity Falls
I have
sicko?
my other Gravity Falls from them right here behind me.
Ooh, but imagine if it was like really chill and cool. Even
cool.
more chill and cool. So here we go. Look alive, everybody. You ready for questions?
Ready?
Yes.
Great. Lamb Dance writes in. They say, I was thinking just the other day, I have no idea how the IP situation with the back rooms works. And I thought I'd toss the question at the only podcast I know with a copyright lawyer on it. So the concept of the backrooms began as an anonymous internet creation with many works inspired by it. But now that Kane Parson has adapted his Backrooms web series into a feature film, do he and the studio A24 have some sort of copyright claim on the backrooms?
No, because that's an idea, right? Like, if you were to remake their film with identical shots, then you would have an issue. If you were to film in a similar liminal space and just be like, isn't this scary in this liminal space? Like, you don't have a claim. They don't have a claim there. They don't own the feeling of being uncomfy in liminal spaces.
But what do they do? They own any version of the word Backrooms?
If they
Could you make a
trademarked
movie
it.
called Backrooms?
No, they likely trademarked it. So they would own the trademark Backrooms in relation to films. So you couldn't use that name if they trademarked it.
But you could make a movie called Liminal Space and have it have the same vibe and stuff, and it's like, whatever.
Absolutely.
Yeah, how close could you get to the aesthetic? Because like he didn't invent the aesthetic; it's from the 4chan picture.
You can't
Which is-
copyright
did you know?
aesthetic or ideas or any of those things. Sorry, Sarah?
Did you know that the original Backrooms photo is actually from Oshkosh, Wisconsin? It's in Wisconsin.
How do you know that?
Wow.
How do you know that?
Because I mean, it's a fun fact about Wisconsin.
Wait,
we have serial
fun fact.
killers and the Backrooms.
Yeah, so Jeffrey Dahmer, and
Yeah.
then Slender Man, and then...
Hey, I live near
Backrooms?
those girls.
Yeah, and they're
That
all
was
back
scary.
there. They're in the back. You did?
Yeah,
scary.
the Slenderman stabbings. I was like,
Oh,
oh,
no.
that's where I'm from.
Home
Did he get
sweet
stabbed, though?
home. So do you think they're having weird territorial rights? Because it's weird for this idea of kind of just an internet everything concept now to be an extremely profitable movie. It's got to be weird.
I guess so, but it's still like nothing about that is conflictory with just like basic copyright of I could go film in a liminal space as long as I don't substantially copy their plot or their characters or the exact setting and mimic the shots and do, those types would be the things like more direct copying. And then if you took a substantial portion of their ideas and just made a movie.
But what if I was like, I'm in a space that looks like a, office with a bunch of yellow walls and fluorescent lighting because I'm adapting the original photo. Like, is that kosher? Or would they, because it seems like their aesthetic is kind of the aesthetic of the original. Obviously it's a photo blown out to a world, so they're doing a lot with it, but like it seems like it would be hard to make something that was inspired by the original photo that was not in some way quite similar to the imagery that they put in the movie.
If you had a direct 1:1 copy of like a set dressing that's just the photo, you might have some issues, but even then I would say that's transformative enough because now it's in a different medium. Like like the copyright of the photo would still be owned by the person who took the photo. The copyright of the film, like the shot in that room that looks similar, you could probably argue either way that there's no copyright issues, even though it looks identical to the photo, versus that's the photo just transformed into a different medium, therefore it's copying. Like, it's kind of subjective, but in that one specific use case, but it kind of think of it like there's 1,000 slasher films. Like, no one can ever be like, oh, no, they own the right of a guy in a mask to hit you with a knife. Like, it's that same kind of concept.
Right, but this is like if there was like a fairy tale that a slasher came on Friday the 13th, and then they made a movie called Friday the 13th. Could I make a different movie called Friday the 13th because it's based on that fairy tale? It's like, it's weird that this happens a lot. I mean, it's like, it's, public, we all understand public domain when it's like Robin Hood or whatever. But the fact that like we know exactly where the Backrooms idea started, I think makes it just a more interesting case.
Yeah, it's drawing inspiration from the same origin point, but you can also draw inspiration from the same origin point as long as your final product is different from their final product, I think is kind of the key thought there. Yeah.
I thought it was interesting. Who is it? I'm trying to remember. Oh, is it Devolver? They're releasing a game called Dark Scrolls. And I was like, yeah, that's a bold move, I feel like everybody's been so tight. I mean, I always think of like, Notch making that game called Scrolls that was then sued by Bethesda. Because like it'll be confusing. People think it's Elder Scrolls, and now it's like, just call it Dark Scrolls and whatever. No one's gonna care, even though you should be pissing off two giants.
It is worth saying that there are a lot of Backrooms games on Steam, most of which existed before the movie released, right? Or was even being made.
Weird. You still like this stuff, Haley?
What do you mean?
Your entire life's passion? You're still into it?
You like Backrooms?
Okay. I like the Backrooms, and I like copyright law. Yeah. Great.
Backrooms at a lawyer office. Now there's the fun zone.
God, glad I work from home.
Oh, Tony Soprano writes in. The username is Tony Soprano showing Chris Chan to his therapist, of course. They write in saying, hey, MinnMax, June 10th, 2018. We all remember where we were, right? That was the date when Elder Scrolls 6 was announced. It was one day before I got married. Here are the major life events that have happened since. I started my career. I bought a house. Worldwide pandemic. Had a kid who's 5 years old now. I got several promotions. Had another kid, almost 2 years old now. I bought a new house. From a fresh college grad to a 30-year-old dad, I've lived almost a third of my life since Elder Scrolls 6 was announced.
Don't say that.
Do you think they could have waited a bit longer to announce it?
Yeah, probably. I guess it just depends how much you want that game. I'm not particularly like, so I haven't really thought about it too much.
I thought it was just for shareholders. Like, I thought it was like a please give us money. It felt kind of like desperate, like they had to.
I think it's maybe shareholders is a factor. I think it's also like hiring. It's just like, hey, I'm sick of like keeping this secret, and let's just let the world know what we're working on, and maybe
a leak was coming soon.
What are they working on? Like, I feel like when they showed that trailer, they like opened up like a doc, and it was just called Elder Scrolls ? And it was empty, and they were like, all right, yeah, with the, and then they just put the trailer out there, like it was an empty. It's empty.
Who made the
There
trailer?
was nothing there.
Who made the trailer? Someone.
What was
kind
the
of
trailer?
like
Wasn't
it.
it just you flying over the
It was like
woods?
mountains or something.
Yeah. Who made the trailer?
I
The
like the
people
idea-
who make trailers.
I like the idea of you saying it was you. Like you're assuming that's the player character is going to be flying around Tamriel.
You leveled up the jumping stat in Morrowind. And now you can I kind of like it just because it would be very annoying to have like had conversations for the past 10 years to be like, do you think they're making the Elder
Right.
Scrolls 6?
Yeah.
And it's like, we all know that one's going to come out. You know, maybe it would have been better in that trailer if they were like, I don't know, 10 years from now, ? But like, I do like that there is not a mystery of like, are they gonna make one? You know,
I still
it's
don't
like,
believe
yeah.
they are. Genuinely, I feel like they just lied.
Quit rushing them, Sarah. They're working on
And now it's another Elder Scrolls Online trailer. Yum yum yum.
they
Eat your
lied.
online slop. And it's like I don't
Yeah.
want it.
The Elder Scrolls 6 has been out in Elder Scrolls Online for years.
And
No one
nobody knows.
No one
'cause nobody's
cared.
playing.
Is it like common knowledge? And this is not from any inside thing, but like it's just Hammerfell. I remember everyone was speculating about the region for a long time, and I feel like there were teases like Starfield. There was a piece of rust on one of the spaceships in the trailer that was the shape of Hammerfell that people thought was like a tease.
God.
God, we're so desperate, aren't we? We're
Elder-
so desperate for anything.
I'm just trying to. I don't know if the Elder Scrolls community is like, well, of course we know exactly where it's going to be, or if it's still like any ounce of a hot debate. You know, this many years later, I don't know. But
My
yeah,
question for you guys is, do you think about what number in a series you won't get to play because you'll be dead of old age?
yeah.
no, because I'll be dead.
Never gonna
No,
die.
but think of it now. Like right now, I think I'll make it
Yeah,
to
and
Red
apparently
Dead
it's
4.
the next Elder Scrolls game.
I think I'll make
I'll
it
be
to Red
dead.
Dead 4, but not Red Dead 5. You know? Like
Yeah.
that's sad. That's sad to think of.
That's okay.
That sad to be like, that's where you're gonna be. You're gonna be 80. They won't have made a new game. They'll just be making Red Dead 4.
And I'll eat it up in my old lady bed with my nurses that hold the controller for me.
You'll eat it up just like your applesauce they're spooning into your frickin'
I'll
mouth.
say, put it on, and they'll go, oh, her again. And they'll just have to stand there while I get all my trophies.
And do you have like pictures and frames next to your hospital bed? And it's like John Marston.
I'm not going to have kids, and
Arthur
women
Morgan,
live
yeah.
longer than men, so I'll be by myself playing Red Dead 4.
No,
in my old
Haley,
folks'
I will be
home.
right next to you in that hospice bed.
No doubt.
Yeah,
No doubt.
that'll be
beds
our
right next to
final
each
thing.
other.
We'll finally be together in a room again.
Yippee! Haley, speaking of the industry being on hospice, you had a post on Blue Sky about Unreal Engine 6. So
Yeah.
Epic has said something more about Unreal Engine 6, and it was just like, hey, this time we're embedding more Gen AI into it. So the tools are going to be
Now
very
you
handy.
can't escape it.
Welcome
Yeah.
to hell. Yeah, what's your reading of that? What was your post? What are your thoughts from the copyright angle?
I'm gonna have to learn what's in this dead ass for my job. I'm gonna have to learn what's in Unreal 6 so I can contract draft around it, which is so annoying. So annoying. It's so essentially Unreal wants to make Epic wants to make like the metaverse, right? But like it knows that that's a trigger word and everyone thinks that's funny, so now it's just calling it the verse. Just drop the meta and
Sounds
maybe
cool to
people
me.
won't notice. But there's some parts of this that are actually kind of interesting. It's like it allows more portability between different games. They're saying they're kind of using Fortnite as the tester baby, but essentially what they're just doing is like, hey, teach our LLM how to port things around things, and they're trying to phrase it as like, isn't this the bestest thing and tools for you? Like, it is interesting that you theoretically could have cosmetic items that when you make them, they're applicable to a bunch of different games at once. They're trying to be Roblox, you guys. They're just trying to be Roblox. That's what we're like, to boil it down to the simplest things.
Because it's weird, because
So
it just like that talking point is so weird, because that was like the NFT argument that everyone was like, that's the dumbest
Yes.
thing I've ever heard, and now it's just that argument, but in a more
they know
realistic
NFT is a
way.
buzzword, so they don't even use it anymore. So they just say like cosmetic portability. Or
But this is
whatever.
actually like,
And
this is attainable. This is doable within
It does
Epic's
make sense
ecosystem.
of it all within the same engine and kind of world
Yeah.
that they'd be making.
Inverse
Right.
is what they're calling
Yeah,
it. Yeah.
sure.
So they want everything to sort of like, they announced it with like Rocket League will be in the verse or whatever. And then they have this like Fortnite. It's almost kind of like a like an easier engine to learn in, but it's like FNF or something. It's like Unreal Engine in Fortnite is what it's called. And you essentially can make things using like Fortnite assets and make little games. It's Roblox, but with Fortnite assets.
Yeah.
But the issue I have with it is like, whatever, they can do that and people will either buy into it or not, like whatever. But they're implementing a few different AI things into Unreal to essentially be like tools that, how do they phrase, like, to help you get through the busy work and get to the real creative stuff. But like, that's such a dangerous way of framing it, because what exactly is busy work, you know, and what is game development? Like, who gets to decide what is the place where you can cut corners with generative AI and which is the place where real creative effort has to be expended? I don't think I trust corporations to be the ones that differentiate between those two things, because I don't mind when AI is a tool, and I don't think any of us mind when AI is a simple tool. If you're in Photoshop and the background detector detects the background for you, like, on an ethical standpoint, yeah, that has energy consumption issues, but from a creative side point, no one's really mad about that, because I'm making something, I'm extending creative effort, and the tool's simply helping me do that, like a paintbrush or something. People don't mind that. So Unreal said, I watched some of their presentation where they were showing off some of the tools, and like some tools I didn't mind. Like, there was one tool that essentially, while you're in the level editor, it allows you to be like barrel, and it goes into your asset library and pulls out all the barrels for you to pick from and put them in the level. And it's like, oh, well, that's actually kind of nice, right? Because it's able to look at all your assets, determine what is barrel, and bring them up for you and put it in the level. That's a tool use of AI, and I don't mind that. What I don't like is if the assets that are in that library it's pulling from are being generated by the AI, right? That's what I don't like. And I don't think they're going to be really clear about which tools do the thing we don't like, which is generate assets, and then therefore there's no copyright, and therefore Unreal can't assign it to you, and therefore you're violating your publishing agreement by using it, versus the tools that are just like helping you skip over the step of just going to your storage bin. Like, that's fine, but, and I just don't trust big corps to be clear about that. So I'm going to have to go in and learn this programming tool to figure out which tools are kosher, which ones aren't, and then advise my clients not to avoid the generative ones, I guess. So
hang on. I'm curious about the avoiding the publishing rights. Can you speak more about like what exactly is not enforceable or not with the agreements by and large anymore?
Copyright can't be assigned by AI because AI cannot own copyright when it makes something. It's a very established copyright doctrine that copyright can only exist in items that are made by human beings. And this is not something that's written down anywhere. There's not a legislative act that says copyright will be human made. Entry 1 in the Copyright Act. It's just something that's been decided thousands of times by 1,000 different judges. And it's just like precedent at this point. So it's not like, you know, when they overturned Roe v. Wade, it's like there's one decision and now it's different. Like, this is in 1,000 different cases. It's just established doctrine at this point. Like, humans make copyright. And one of the first steps to determining whether copyright infringement existed is who made the item? Did they make it? Are they human? And then you move on. Like, it's just established copyright law at this point. Yeah.
Like, how does that, the new Tomb Raider game is using AI to help make it.
Yeah.
When do they not own it?
Right.
Well, that's what's tough is I think there's going to have to be a lot of case law. So say, for example, there is an asset in the background of like a plank of wood, and there was no creative effort by a human being to design that plank of wood asset, right? It's just a piece of wood on the ground, but they wrote, hey, Unreal Engine 6, this is for that because that game didn't use this, but make me a plank of wood, and it comes in, I put it in. And then if another game were to come along and just like take all my assets from my game that I quote unquote made, but really it was just generative AI, and put it in their game, I don't think there should be any argument that I can go after that game for copyright infringement because I didn't exert any creative effort to make these assets. Therefore, I don't own them. Therefore, someone else can use them. But what's tough is, are there some assets? That's why a lot of studios like Larian came out and was like, we're only doing it at the concept art phase. Mm-hmm. We're only doing it at this early phase. And then humans make everything from then on. Like, then you can argue, even though AI was in a step of the creative process, it was still human beings that made the final art piece. So therefore, a human made it, and therefore it's copyrightable.
Yeah, well, I guess what and maybe these are just the examples that you've used, but it seems like mostly the use case is like asset reuse, which I would assume that the metaverse in the Unreal Engine would kind of be like, you're all reusing assets anyway, because that's part of what we're offering you, is you don't have to make your own plank of wood asset. You can ask us, we might make it with AI, but like when, you know, if you make a game with that and you didn't make the planks of wood, presumably you still own the right to the game, and if other people use those same planks of woods in other games, it wouldn't take away like the money that you would make from that. Or what am I not getting?
You're not getting that if there is an argument that you don't own that plank of wood, and therefore an element of your game hasn't been assigned or validly licensed. Like, those are the keywords. Assignment is like you transfer ownership, so somebody, you're selling something to somebody. Licensing is I have the valid right to use something within the confines of whatever the license says. So before, like, Unreal has those asset packs, right? Like, here's 1,000 different pirate ship pieces that pay us $5 and you can use whatever you want. That's fine, because a human being historically in the past made all those assets, and now I have a valid license to use them. I can, as long as I follow the license, put them in my game, I'm not violating a publishing agreement. But what every single publishing agreement I've ever read says is there is a section called representations and warranties. Most of them just have a straight up no AI section nowadays. I'd say like 75% of them say you will not use AI, generative AI, in the creation of any game asset. So straight up, don't do that. So using this would be a very clear breach of that. But there's also under the reps and warranties, which is promises you're making to the other party, like a representation that they're entering to this agreement believing, is that it says that you have full ownership or the valid licenses to the IP in the game and all components of the game. So it's not just the game as a finished product, but every single piece within it. I could argue that if you use this, you don't have a valid license to every single piece of game intellectual property, because even if it's just one plank of wood, technically that AI, when it made it and there was no other human creative effort, it didn't assign you or license you anything. Will anyone get mad and push back on it? Probably not. Like, I don't think the LLM that made it is going to try to sue the person because they used it in X kind of way. But what the fallout of this is if you have a really bad faith publisher, like picture one that's losing tons of money and they just want out of the relationship, but they can't. They might say, oh, check if they used Unreal. And then they'll go in and maybe they'll figure out that you used Unreal, and like one tiny minuscule part of the game is created without any human effort. They can be like, you breached the agreement because it wasn't validly licensed. We're terminating. Bye. Like, that could be a theoretical argument for like a really bad faith actor. And that's what I'm worried about for like
That's
indie
crazy.
dev clients. Yeah.
Can I make a legal prediction with no legal knowledge?
Mm-hmm.
I think there will be a court case where they decide that prompting is a creative act. I
There's
think
been
they'll say,
dozens of cases about that already, actually.
and it hasn't.
It depends on. So it's called the modicum of creativity, which is the effort you put into creating something. And there's been cases that that kind of feel similar, but aren't even AI, which is one time a guy set up a camera that just took pictures at random times in a room. And then one of them ended up being cool. And then somebody said, well, you didn't have any modicum of creativity in the creation of that photo. You just set up an auto shutter. So technically you shouldn't own that IP. And so there's like case law like that plays into it. So you would have to assess whether the tool did all the work or if there was a modicum of human creativity that went to the creation of the product. Some people try to argue that the prompting of it is it. A lot of judicial cases are saying prompts aren't enough. There has to be an additional element to the creation of something outside of just prompting it. Yeah.
Haley, you a real lawyer or just like a video game lawyer?
I'm just like a little stinky video game lawyer. I don't even know anything. You would be so surprised how many people are like, video game lawyer, huh? I don't think that's real.
Yeah, some Ace Attorney fan. Cool.
Yeah, they just think I like Ace Attorney.
Haley, thanks for being an expert.
Yay.
Juan One writes in. They say, hello, MinnMax crew. In the recent news of the Xbox closures, not quite closures, it's ambiguous, right? Is the days of big companies funding smaller games with smaller budgets over? Everyone in the industry is always championing games like Keeper, God of War Sons of Sparta, or Hi-Fi Rush, but these games don't sell. Sons of Sparta apparently only sold a little over 200,000 copies, reportedly, while Kiln and Keeper's all-time Steam numbers from Double Fine were between 190 and 193.
That's so sad.
That's triple digits. It just doesn't feel like the mass audience wants small games from big publishers. I think it's interesting because, I think it's an old drum that we like beating on this podcast of like, just let these big teams make smaller, weirder, less risky stuff. But if the message they get over and over and over again, is that people aren't interested in this. And I don't know if it's that people aren't interested in that concept of like smaller games for big teams, or it's just you're making these games that are relatively small from big publishers compete with the thousands and thousands of other games released every week on Steam. And so naturally your odds are very, very low that it'll break through.
Yeah, counterpoint, those aren't small games.
Yeah.
That's, I think, I have no idea what like Microsoft will do. I think that the safest bet, if I had $1 billion, would be to give a bunch of different devs 100K because one of them might make Balatro, and if not, then I'm not out that much money. Versus like, I don't know what the team size on Sons of Sparta is, but like my guess is pretty big. Yeah. My guess is bigger than most Metroidvanias, and so like I think it's almost that they don't know how to make small games at the scale. It's hard to be a big team and suddenly make a small game because you need like work for however many employees work at your studio, right?
There's just naturally going to be that much more kind of bureaucracy baked into the system and whatnot. But it's like, I like that idea, right? Of like 100K to a bunch of different teams, break it up that way. But even then, if you just crunch the numbers just on Steam alone, right? It's like, if you were just looking at it as objectively as you could, what are the odds of making your money back on Steam? 0.5%? I mean, I realistically, I don't know how low that is.
We've talked to, won't name anyone, but it's like, we've talked to people who are like, if we sell 300,000 copies, then we can make another game.
Right.
And so it's like, if Sons of Sparta did that, then they could make another game, but my guess is that is not that game's success quotient. And so also, yes, it is like, I think your goal can't be, and I will keep making more money forever, but like I'll keep being able to make games.
Yeah.
I think the sustainability model now in this age with such a saturated market is work for hire for other things until you have enough money to make the game you want to make, and then making it on a bigger scale than 90% of what's on Steam. You just have to break through those sheer numbers. Like the Game Awards when it opened up with, look at how many games there are. I was like, oh no!
And Ken made money.
Like I wasn't like, whippy. I was like, it's nice for the people that are just working on passion projects in their free time, and Steam is such an approachable platform that they can launch on Steam and, make a little bit of money, but they don't have a team to support or whatever. Like, I think a lot of those games are those. If you scroll down far enough, there's like thousands and thousands of them. But for the ones that have like an established corporation and they're trying to make money and they have employees and stuff, I don't think launching a bunch of small games is the way forward anymore. You have to go do work for other companies, maybe not even in the games industry, like design apps for a third party or something. If you're good at that, create art for this other thing until you have enough money saved up to do the game that you want to do.
Yeah. I was trying to make a list, and I'm curious if anybody has any comments about anything in general. Just leave them in the YouTube channel, please. But like, trying to think of those success stories of big publishers making a small game. My mind immediately went to Geometry Wars. Back in the day, it was like, oh, that's 2005. Maybe that's not the most relevant thing. And like, Ubisoft is cranking out a lot of smaller projects. They had a whole era of the Ubi art stuff, but like, I don't think any of those were really seen as like a wild success. Like Just Dance from Ubisoft is probably number one example of that, but that was a budget game back in the day that has become a juggernaut. But even stuff like Pentiment? Pentiment probably didn't sell crazy well. We're not getting numbers like that, but
that was more of a Game Pass thing, it felt like, too. Like they just wanted it on Game Pass because that's where I played it back then.
Yeah, but like it won some awards. Is that just like mission accomplished? Is that kind of the best case scenario for what a big publisher making a quote unquote small game looks like these days?
I
don't trust them with the small games. I don't trust them.
I just kind of wonder, it's like how much money does like the thing about even if the team is small, then there are like managers and executives and whatever. And so it's just kind of like, it just has to be so much more successful than exactly that same game made by someone who's not at a big publisher.
Right. Yeah, it's a wild world. I'm obsessed with Midnight Murder Party from PlayStation and the Star Fox developers, Vinland Studios, that came out last year. That was a complete zero on everybody's radar. There's so many examples.
They dropped that so quick.
Oh yeah,
they just stopped talking. They were like, oh, we never said that. We never released that game.
Yep,
they
absolutely.
Just pretended it didn't exist.
You could waterboard Herman Hulst over at PlayStation. He would not admit to them publishing Midnight Murder Party, and I don't recommend it. Tokyo Game Life. They were in. They say Road to Empress 2 came out a few days ago. Do you think it's going to make the 210s?
It did?
Yeah.
I watched you stream.
I've been playing it.
Oh.
But then I had to stop because we had to go to a Dead by Daylight event.
How's the sequel?
I like it. I don't know. It's interesting because the first chapter, the first half of the game, you're in the palace. And you're like a lot more, you're powerless and you're in the palace. And I really like that dynamic. Right? Everyone's trying to kill you. You're stuck. you're young, you have no experience, and now you're outside the palace, you've sort of escaped. And somehow, like, I've suddenly become a little bit of a badass. Like, tell me why I'm, like, blocking these knife stabs with my bare hands like I'm some kind of, like, elite warrior. I'm like, what? I know that I went to a nunnery, right? So the end of the last game is you end up in a nunnery. But then I escaped the nunnery, and I'm like, somehow my power has really scaled. And they're definitely angling it. In the first half, you had to sort of, like, play the two princes to stay alive. And now I'm like, do we play the two princes to become empress now and we just kill both of them? Like, do we just use them as stepping stones with our power? So there's a lot more outside the palace stuff going on.
So slightly deflated enjoyment?
No, I'm still enjoying it, but it's moving a lot faster.
Okay.
Like the pacing, I feel like we're just going 90 miles an hour, and I'm like, whoa. It felt a lot slower in the palace, and now it's a lot more action-y.
Right.
Are you gonna stream it?
Sure,
I've been streaming it.
Tune in, dude.
God
It's the
damn
best
it.
streams on the internet. Theropods.
I'm so out of the Sarah Pazorsky loop despite sitting in rooms with you for a straight weekend.
And more. Joey Smith writes in, they said, Ace Combat reminds me, there's a lot of cool games about planes, cars, and spaceships, but there aren't that many cool games about boats. Joey, does the name Bloodwake mean nothing to you?
Hydro Thunder.
Hydro Thunder! You can get Wave Race too, I think. But they say, how would you make a cool boat game? I think this is a good thing to think about. I do think boats are inherently kind of boring.
Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag.
Yeah. Ooh.
Oh, man.
Yeah. Some sort of skull and bones scenario.
I would gamify.
Maybe the first quad A game.
My dad has a boat, and it's his favorite thing. Docking that boat with my father is the most scared I ever am in the history of the world, because I know how to do it, but still something always goes awry, and my father angry at me because the boat is going too far forward and we can't back it up quick enough, and he's yelling at me and he's like, hurry up,
Oh my gosh.
and I'm freaking out, and I know all the knots, but I still stumble a little bit because I missed the knot a little bit, and you have to hop off the boat onto the dock and scamper forward as quick as you can. I'm not very good at that. Like, every time we go on the boat, I'm thinking about when we have to dock later, and my dad's gonna yell at me the entire boat ride. That's all I'm thinking about. So gamifying that would be interesting.
You have to make people believe they have the financial investment that a boat in real life is in the
you want
game.
like
which
a
is,
My Summer
if this
car,
crashes, I'm
but with the boat
Yes.
type thing.
Yes,
Yeah, like
yes,
a My
yes.
Summer car but with a boat, and your money just drains forever.
Yeah.
I saw a really interesting boat game. I don't remember the name of it, but it was an indie game, and it looked like it had the PlayStation style graphics. And you're in a speedboat, and you were speeding around this like half sunken world, right? Because I think the issue with boat games is there's like too much like empty open water, and I'm not really interested in fish.
Yep,
Right.
yep.
But you were going around this empty open world that was just like a city, but sunk in the water. And you would have to stop at gas stations to gas up your boat, and there were like sharks in the water. But it looked really cool, and I was like, yeah, if you could play more boat games that were basically in destroyed apocalyptic cities in water, I feel like that would be cool. You need to be able to get out of the boat. I hate to say this, but I need to be able to get out of the boat to at least like talk to people.
But
I don't know. Like, I played Dredge. I
Ace
just
Combat.
need to get. Well, in Ace Combat, they implied that you got out of the plane at some point, right?
Right.
Like, there
But
are
the
cutscenes where you're not in the plane.
And so
I
Dredge,
do also
you do that.
I do also think the problem is that water is inherently flat.
Yeah,
Like,
you're right.
it's like
you're right.
you need. I think you would need. I am thinking of the Sword of the Sea. You know, like you need to be able to incorporate like interesting 3-dimensional movement because it's just flat. Water is inherently kind of flat.
But let me tell you exactly what it is. This ties into my pitch for a cool boat game. Because I think like the most fun thing you can do on a boat or a jet ski is like
Drink a
tubing.
beer.
But specifically, it's pulling people on a jet ski that are tubing, because it feels like such
hate it.
a game of trying to do that math of like, okay, I can make my own waves, and then how do I bring them over to this spot, and I whip them out to the side, they'll have the speed to go off that wave there. Oh, the wave's not cresting it how I thought it would be. It is such like a mind game of trying to like optimize them getting airborne and launch from that tube. And so if there's some sort of like 2v1 asymmetrical game, one person's driving a jet ski or a boat, and they're trying to coordinate water physics, which are always fun to watch in a game, and then it is is very uneven, and the other two people are trying to somehow stay on the tube like it's freaking peak or something. Like there's some game there, right?
That's got to be like a little mini game and like a split fiction styled game.
Yeah, you're
at
right.
Some point in it. Yeah.
Yeah, it probably already is now that I think about it.
The older I get, the more I hate tubing and my boundaries being not at all respected while I'm tubing. I hate it. I go slow. You know what they go like this if you want to slow down. How come every time I do this they go and they do 10 donuts?
It's bad people.
Pisses me the hell off.
Bad people. That said, you got to push it like 10% over what they want.
No, see, I hate that. I hate that as soon as someone's on a tube, they're like, consent doesn't matter anymore. I'm crazy. It's so weird. And it always, no matter if they're the nicest person in the world, they do donuts on me and I fall off and I hurt myself. I don't like it.
I haven't been tubing since I was like 12, and anytime I'm near a boat, I'm like, can we go tubing? And the people are like, yeah, we love tubing. And then it just doesn't happen for some reason.
Such a hassle. Gotta blow it up and stuff.
Which also I'm counting when we were going to go to Ben's Lake House last year, and then the disaster trip happened or whatever. But like
hand, foot, and mouth disaster.
The universe is trying to deny me tubing,
dude. You're going tubing at some point with
I'll
me,
watch
dude.
from the shore.
And Haley's going to be right there with you, and she's going to be going slow down. You'll be saying speed up, and I'll have to speed up. I will have no choice. Christian Jimenez writes in. They say, hello. Do you ever get mildly annoyed when things aren't formatted, like text properly or consistently? I love this, Christian. Thank you. They say, for example, on PlayStation in your game library, this is how the Resident Evil series is listed. I thought maybe it was all lowercase for the originals and uppercase for the remakes, but not at all. And this is a tough thing to convey over a podcast, but it is the most inconsistent thing. So Resident Evil 1, the remake, lower caps, normal. Resident Evil 0, lower. Resident Evil 2, normal. Resident Evil 2, all caps. Resident Evil 3 Nemesis, lowercase. Resident Evil 3 Remake, all caps. Then it gets confusing. Resident Evil 4, lowercase. Resident Evil 4 Remake, lowercase. Resident Evil 5, all caps, no space between the L and the 5. Resident Evil 6, lowercase. Resident Evil 7, that's all capitalized. Biohazard is lowercase. Resident Evil Requiem, Resident Evil is capitalized, and then Requiem is lowercase. It is just like the biggest disaster of formatting that you could possibly imagine.
I do want to shout out the Fast and the Furious franchise because they have like the ongoing bit of never naming them the same way. And it's kind of like it's like the biggest franchise that I can think of that's just kind of doing a bit for no reason. Because it's like, can you name them? I can.
Fast Five. So it's really like an intentional bit of they will always shake up.
I mean, it would be. It's almost impossible to imagine that it's not intentional because it's the first one is called The Fast and the Furious.
Right.
Second, Too Fast, Too Furious. Third one, Fast and Furious, Tokyo Drift. Fourth one is just called Fast and Furious. Fifth one, Fast 5. Second, Fast and ampersand Furious 6. Seventh one, Furious 7. Eighth one, The Fate of the Furious.
Right.
The ninth one, just F9. And then the 10th one is Fast X. Like, there's literally no consistency is the style, and I think it's so funny.
That's fun. I like that, too.
Yeah. Did you have one in mind, Haley? Was driving you nuts?
Yeah, well, mine's more from, like, contract drafting when, like, I hate all my agreements are so pretty, and they're really nice, and the formatting's all right. If you check under the hood, everything's perfect, and, like, everything's paragraph it's perfect. And then I get sent these agreements, and they're so trash, and they're also ugly. And so I can't bill for that, but the little gremlins in my brain, I turn off my billable hour tracker, and I make them pretty before I send them back because it pisses me off so much. Like they'll have like everything isn't justified, and like the numbering isn't consolidated so that it only goes in one alt tab and then two if it's the next tier down layer. So I'll fix that. And then there's always like, if you highlight everything and then check the paragraph, it'll be like 1.5 spacing instead of just 1 spacing. So I'll fix that. And it ends up always being like an extra 40 minutes of work, but I can't not do it. And I don't think anyone ever notices, but I feel weird if I send an agreement back and I haven't made it pretty yet.
Yeah, just send all your contracts over to us. We'll admire them aesthetically. We're not going to read them, but we'll just appreciate
I'll just redact everything except for the spacing.
Redactions are beautiful. Let's see. Luis writes in, how genuinely relieved is Ben that the Leo Win show is over? And how will this shape future choices?
I like how you're the villain for that, even though I went on the show and I screamed, I hate you all.
Yeah, apparently
Stop
easier
the show now. I've been in the comments yelling "Stop the Leo and show" over and over.
It was, yeah. This is a New Show Plus option, whereas Leo and Kelsey talking to each other based on a name that Sarah suggested on Blue Sky, and it became...
Leo Wynn is my Frankenstein's monster.
That's it.
Call me Dr. Frankenstein because I made the Leo Wynn show, and
Yep. And it basically went for 7 weeks straight. It broke the records. There's a little hiccup where we had to take a pause for a week, because the scheduling didn't work out and stuff. But it is the new Show Plus, streak champion.
Did it lose?
It lost this week.
Oh.
Yeah, it lost to...
And tell Haley what you had to do to get Leo Wynn to lose.
We had to... The idea was Leo Wynn show pivots to video, and they were going to play a game. They're going to play the Killer Bee
game. It became a gaming stream.
Gameplay finally.
Yes.
Yeah, and it got fourth in the poll, which is crazy. And we had
fourth.
The evil genius of just making it a gameplay stream, which I would prefer to do more of, by the way, just to kill it.
Right. Just to kill
I
it.
think we all would.
We all want to play games.
We love to play games.
Yeah, it's so interesting lesson, interesting tension every once in a while in the MinnMax community. People being like, "Who's voting for these? Just let it die." And it's like, I think they were under the impression that I was miserable, that Leo and Kelsey were miserable. When I think the tone, and correct me if I'm wrong, was more just like Leo and Kelsey like kind of flattered and kind of just like, I mean, it's easy, sure, whatever, it'll be all right. So I don't think I was gritting my teeth, but in terms of relief, maybe like a 6 out of 10. Just for this feeling of like, it's nice to have more variety on the channel, I guess. And so after 7 weeks,
or just spread the work around off of Kelsey and Leo every Tuesday for a little bit.
Right. And so it's like, it'll be nice to shake it up. And so there are lessons, of just like, don't just be transparent when you can't make it happen in a week, instead of just putting up a bunch of stock footage. That's not fun for anybody. That ain't fun for anybody whatsoever. And so it also,
I stand by that.
Okay,
that was
great.
Funny.
Thank you. There's also lessons, I think, maybe for just like, it's funny to me, Haley, of like, are we overthinking things at times? Am I overthinking this podcast?
Literally all the time, Ben.
Am I forcing you to, I know, am I forcing you to overthink bonus pod? Because I saw so many comments that are like, we just like hearing you guys talk. That's why Leo Wynn show wins. I'm like, bonus pod is right there. That's
I know.
What it
You know how many
is.
times I yelled that in the MinnMax shows on the Discord? I'm like, hello, I'm over here. Like, wouldn't it be nice if there was a show where the cohorts just got to chit chat? I was like, am I nothing to you? Hello? God.
Yeah, so next episode of Bonus Pod is just going to be called Bonus Pod, the Leo Wynn Show spinoff.
The Leo Wynn show is dead. Huzzah.
Yeah.
Just
That'll
take the
be the
Leo
next
Wynn
bonus
name,
pod.
but it's still bonus pod, and there's no Leo or Wynn.
Oh, okay.
That'd be
Yeah.
so naughty. Let's do that.
Smart, naughty but fun.
Yeah.
Do you think about that, Haley? Or you're like, oh, maybe we should just have more bonus pods that are just like no game plan. Let's just go in for an hour and just like make it the chit chat hour.
Is that not what they are?
That's what it is, Ben. What do you think happens?
Well, sometimes maybe perhaps me more than most people are like, oh, what's the angle? What's the headline? Maybe you could talk about Summer Game Fest. That type of thing.
I like to go in with like loose concepts of ideas, but I did one with Jacob where we just talked about browser games, and it was just like it was just aren't browser games fun? Here's some of my faves.
That still feels like that's a theme. That's a topic. Like that's not going with nothing.
I agree, Ben. If Blank Check had a Patreon episode that was just called Griffin, David, and Ben talk for an hour. Mm-hmm. You would listen to that immediately, right?
That up.
Yeah, I mean that's just the middle of every commentary track that they do. I feel like where they kind of just don't want to watch the movie.
Yes, and I'm like, you guys don't need the movie.
Right. Yeah. So of course there's lessons and everything, but Charge Shot won. So we're going to be doing a special one-off mysterious thing that I'll communicate more about the schedule. It might be a week later, and there might be a poll next week for New Show Plus, and there'll be a fun surprise for that New Show Plus poll. But as always, it's very fun. Rest in peace, Leo and show. Leo and Kelsey are fine.
R.I.P.
Ryan Agogo writes and they say, "How to be Max? What was your favorite book as a child?" I'm talking 2 to 5 years old. I have a 2-year-old and I'm taking recommendations.
I Spy books.
Oh, I Spy books.
Oh,
Those
good
are
choice.
good. Yeah, great pick.
Because you don't even need to read.
Yeah,
But it still feels like you're reading.
That's
the
true.
beauty of I Spy.
I mean, my favorite book to get read to me, I think, was Chicka Chicka Boom Boom.
I was gonna say that.
I was just wondering, is there going to be enough room?
It was the best.
Yeah, it's very good.
What did you say?
Nothing.
Oh, what's this? This looks cute.
You don't know Chicka Chicka Boom Boom?
No.
Oh, it's a killer.
Chicka Chicka Boom Boom.
It's a book that will get stuck in your head somehow. It's very
Yeah, it's kind of like a slam poem or like a bad rap.
yeah.
Bad rap.
This was the first book that popped into my head when I was like, books that I remember when I was 2.
Yeah.
Because like I remember like 6 to 8 my books, but like 2, I'm like,
Yep. And
the Rainbow Fish. I don't know.
yeah. Okay. There's a good
I
one.
like Rainbow Fish.
I also liked the book Stella Luna. 'Cause she was a little bat.
Oh, sure.
that's
Stella
cute.
Luna was a good one.
Yeah. It's fun to still have some of my old books, like to my parents' house and stuff. So now I get to whip them out and read these again. And one of them is called Sylvester and the Magic Pebble, which maybe it's a deep cut. I don't know. But I was like, oh, I love this book as a kid. And I was reading it to my kid. I'm like, wait, I have no memory of how this story actually goes.
I loved this book too.
Do you know it? It is dark and weird. And it's just a story of like
I
parents.
definitely read this.
Okay, it is like parents that are, donkeys
throwback.
that are searching for their kid who's been turned into a rock. And it's just like, it is just 70% of it is the parents just like mourning the loss of their kid. It is delightfully dark.
Oh, Nat the Nantucket cat, if I'm not mistaken, he loses all his 9 lives while walking around Nantucket in different ways.
Oh, that's
He
good.
dies a bunch of times. That was kind of dark.
That's a page turner.
That's a page turner.
I mean, now it's been tainted by the Zachary Levi movie, but Harold and the Purple Crayon, really good.
I only read the novelization of the film for that one. Yeah. There's
And
one.
the-
Please.
Who's the Where the Wild Things Are, Maurice Sendak has my favorite anecdote of anything ever, where he had he also had a book called like In the Night Kitchen, where there's just this little boy running around naked in a big kitchen the whole time. Hilarious. But there was like a kid who his mom helped write to Maurice Sendak of like, hey, I like your book so much. And Maurice Sendak was like, well, I loved it. And so I drew something and I sent it back to him. And the mom responded with like, hey, he loved your picture so much he ate it. Which was like, he got an original illustration from, the guy who wrote Where the Wild Things Are. And he's like, yeah, I'm going to eat this.
That's perfect. Yeah. Another favorite of mine that I've been reading a lot lately is Who Wants an Old Teddy Bear? Which I feel like, I guess the goal of any of these books is just like teach some empathy. And the basic idea is some kid who gets a teddy bear and he hates it. And then he has a nightmare and he goes to a teddy bear world and all the teddy bears are like, who wants a stupid little boy? It's very good.
I like the Berenstain Bears books because they were shaped different than all the other books. They were square. And I remember that tickled my brain somehow.
There's a book that I got from the library, which is like excellent. And it's called Zebra and Yak, the backwards alphabet book. I feel like if people have kids around me, I'll just give this as a gift because it's a very good premise where the idea is like A is missing. And so they have to read the alphabet backwards and all the alphabet letters.
Whenever
are like,
your kid gets pulled aside in like a drunk driving assessment,
he's going to be so good.
They're going to nail it.
Yeah. So it's the zebra and yak being like, we missed our cue. And so they're going backwards to the alphabet to be like, hey, wake up, X, it's your turn. And everyone's like, what about the other letters? And it's just like fun, silly, all these letters being confused. Basically like, I'm not on stage yet. I'm waiting for D to go first. It's very good.
Y'all read Arthur? Like Arthur,
Hell yeah.
Arthur the Aardvark, where the first book is about like, hey man, it's okay that you've got like a big, weird, freaky nose. And then when they make the animated series, they're like, nope, he's normal. He's just got a smooth head. Don't make him look too weird.
He's beautiful. Sent the Prophet writes in, says, a huge kudos to Leo Vader on the deepest dive for 007 First Light. I only bought First Light at release because of the deepest dive. For me, and I assume some others, it directly led to another sale. Deepest dive sell games. I don't want to make this gross, but tell the publishers they don't send us codes ahead of time because sometimes I'm like, we're doing a deepest dive. What more could we possibly be doing? They say such a thoughtful discussion on 007 First Light and truly a treat to have Leo's Hitman expertise throughout the entire thing. It captures a unique in-time moment of what this game is like, and it'll be fun to look back on in 10 years. Thanks again. Yeah.
Never felt safer in a deepest dive than with the shield of Leo Vader's patriotism for IO. No one can ever come in and say, you actually did talk about everything in the entire world of this game. I'm like, yeah, we did, because Leo was on it.
Yeah.
100%ed it.
Sit down before you fall down, commenter. Yeah, 007. The second discussion is live now, and final one's going to be airing next week as well. There's a little bit of a break just for a breather, but for SGF and stuff. So hopefully folks can jump back in and finish off 007 and in good spirits. Pork Bun Powered layup of a finale. They say, hey, I've really enjoyed the travelogues you all have done. One thing I love to ask travelers is if you had to pick one, do you prefer doing a meticulously planned, well-traveled route or a loose wandering off the beaten path? Also, rest in peace, Sarah muscle bar push-up video. That's right. It's lost forever because Haley didn't get the recording and we'll never see it.
Okay, interesting. I'll be quiet.
Maybe you should stay tuned for the Kyoto Travelogue for the miracle of all miracles to have happened thanks to Haley and the internet. But yeah, I think you guys were talking before the trip about how you had it all so well mapped out and stuff. Did that strategy work out okay?
I'm curious to hear your perspective, Sarah, because I feel like I'm very much more on the grid, and I feel like you were nice and let me be on the grid, but are you more loosey-goosey?
I prefer to have at least like a plan. Like I like to go in like knowing where I want to eat, like having options basically. And then I kind of like to mix and match them based on how I'm feeling about the day.
Okay.
Right? So I like having all these places, like things I want to do, things that I could potentially do, and the day of you kind of slot things in.
Yeah.
I like that too. I like having maybe like one big reservation every couple days. It's like, oh, well, Thursday's the night where we go to that restaurant that you have to call ahead 2 months in advance. But today we have nothing.
Right.
Like that feels good too, because then you can kind of spread it out a little bit. But I will say I do have a bit of the brain worm of I need to look at the map and know everything where everything is and plan ahead like crazy.
My favorite thing, if you can swing it, is like you got everything planned out, and then like one of your days you're like, well, we're gonna be hanging out with someone who lives here, and so it's just gonna be it's in their court, you know. Show me your favorite thing, because that's always, it's like, you know, it was in Italy for a friend's wedding. And we have a friend in Italy, and we were like, hey, man, just show us, like, what do you do here? And he was like, let me show you the place where Wes Anderson buys his shirts.
Yeah.
And we were like, okay. And then we like went over there, and it's like, nah, they never would have found that on Google Maps.
That's awesome.
You just redid your entire wardrobe, little Wes Jr. over there?
I bought one Wes Anderson style shirt, and I think it's very noticeable. Like, if you see it, you're like, yeah, that's, you know, Luke Wilson would be wearing that.
Aspect ratio's all wonky. All right, what do y'all like for question of the week?
Backrooms IP.
Backrooms IP.
Or the
IP
Unreal
was
IP.
fun.
The question is the
Unreal AI one.
I hear you, but unfortunately, Sarah, the Unreal one was me just bringing it up. So
Well, we don't want to give you a
want the
present.
vinyl.
No, I have
man.
enough for my M8 bit. All right, Backrooms IP.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
All
fun.
right, there we go. Lamb Dance. You just got a big prize from I Am 8-Bit. Now it's time for something we call Get a Load of This. Who wants to go first? Who's got a humdinger?
Get a load of this. I got in there ahead of you, Jacob. I saw your mouth open. I snuck in. Get a load of this. When Sarah and I were at the Montreal event, there was a cosplay contest. And Sarah and I we got there early, got there 20 minutes early, and we watched the whole cosplay contest, and it was so fun. It's just Dead by Daylight people. A lot of Legions, I won't lie. Like half of it is Legion cosplayers because Legion's very easy to cosplay. Some of those were absolutely insane. There's one, we actually talked to them. They're in our vlog, but it was a guy dressed up as the Oni in a specific Minotaur skin. And this thing is like movie quality. It had special effects. It had light up things. When he opened the thing's mouth, it roared the exact same audio sound effect from the game.
Sweet.
And then there was multiple like survivors that accompanied him essentially as props that would run around him pretending to be scared, and then when he ulted or whatever, they would just put on a bot thing on their head and pretend to be bots and then run away like a stupid bot. And it was like a whole show. It was the best. There was one person who was just the hex Devour Hope, which is the hexes in the games are just purple like little triangles, and it came out in a purple suit and their face was just face painted to look like that hex, and the crowd exploded with like, yeah, like everyone just loved it. It's very heartwarming and good. I'll find a link for it because they streamed the whole thing.
Get a load of this. Our friends, People Make Games, over on YouTube, do a lot of great work. A lot of that great work is pretty tough stories. Union busting, who's this human rights abusing company, blah, blah, blah. This week, they released a video which has maybe they're A/B testing a title. Currently, I see it as He Won't Stop Building a Map to an Imaginary Place.
Good.
That is the most beautiful video. I mean, like truly a video that you will tear up at the end of if you are not a monster, which is a man who has been creating a map of a place that he made up for essentially his entire life. Like he's like 70 years old and he's been doing it for 50 years or whatever. But they go there, including Game Informer's Alex Van Aken, who filmed the thing for them, and they help him put together this entire map, and he has not done that for 14 years. And it takes them like a group of 20 people. It takes them like 4 days because it's thousands and thousands of tiles. But the real like juice of the video is he's talking about like how he makes it. And he has this deck of cards that he created himself. And every day he pulls a card and the card will tell him what kind of map to draw, including like create a new dimension. And then there's this thing where he's actually like destroying huge portions of the map that he has previously created because of something called the Void, which is this white space that then he's like papering over with like notes from people that he's received over his life. Like it is the most staggeringly beautiful project. You're like, everyone else has not achieved the thing that this man has achieved. Awesome. People Make Games' newest video. It's just amazing.
Links below for all this stuff. Here's an easy one. Get a load of this. Does everyone already know this? And am I a big dumb guy? Did you wake me up? Did you rub my lamp? It's okay. Getting a big shipment of stuff filled with packing peanuts. And at that moment of like, oh, what's it? You can't recycle packing peanuts, right? Let me look up at what you do with these. And then the internet recommends
put them in water.
You put them in water and they disappear? Does everybody know this about packing peanuts?
I fear they do, yeah.
Jacob, did you know this, my son?
No.
Aha!
Oh.
Thank you.
Also, is that what you're supposed to dump 1 million pounds of microplastics into the water supply?
Look, is it
good to do that?
It was confusing how much they disappeared. I have never seen something so remarkable in my life.
From my experience, I think the green ones are very good to the point that they recommend you dissolve it and then you can use it for like plant food. And it's like some companies use like really eco-friendly ones that have good plant stuff in them and stuff, yeah.
Jeez. All right, let me know in the comments. Dumb guy or smart guy? Did everyone know this or is this common knowledge? Please let me know.
Get a load of this. There is a team competing in a CS2 competition in Cologne, Team Spirit, and they lost their head coach due to illness, and then they couldn't get a backup coach due to visa issues. So they decided to put in as their coach a frog plushie named Jab Jabich, which I guess translates to Toad Toadson in Russian.
Excellent.
And he's a little frog plushie. Yeah. And they were like, what? And people are like asking what their strategies are. And their strategy is 1, rush B, and 2, donk, go kill. I guess donk is like the best player on their team. So that's kind of the strategies they've been falling back on. But the thing is like this little toad, this little like plushie, they give I didn't realize this, but they give stats to players under coaches for like how much the players win under coaches. You kind of get a ratio. The players are all hitting like their highest ratios under this frog coach. Like they are doing so well under this frog coach. He has his own like official esports, like, I don't know what it's called, like a profile, an HLTV profile, which I guess is like a big deal to have as an official coach. And I guess the plushie, which was just a plushie they got at the store, has like sold out. And you can't get it anymore.
That's awesome.
Perfect.
But they're apparently like still in contact with their other head coach. And they have said recently that they do miss having a coach, but they did go viral. Cause like Jabich was like showing up in interviews. Like people were interviewing and they're like, how do you think Team Spirit is doing? Like, what do you think what's your strategy for the next game?
Yeah.
You know?
Haley, this is just the turtle from Nathan For You. This is just like the job interview with the turtles. Back of that.
True.
Links below for this fun stuff. Tokyo Game Life in the community Discord where they share, get a load of this is all day, every day. They shared a post from Mario Broth blog saying, in 1996, Nintendo was seemingly very fond of a single particular stock photo of the sky, so that it ended up on the cartridge artwork of 3 different games released in that year. Mario 64, Mario Kart 64 and Pilot Wings 64, same stock photo of clouds for different parts in the background, which is fun to see. It's all part of the same
Why
universe.
mess with a good thing?
That's exactly it. That is it for this episode of the MinnMax Show. Thanks so much. If you're new, thanks for being here. You can always subscribe, stick around, check out the podcast version, or if you're listening on the podcast version, check out the video version. Find the one that's right for you. As with all things, we have exciting things happening all day, every day. Chicago, people of Chicago, we're hosting a community meetup, specifically Leo Vader, star of the Leo Win Show. And then Janet Garcia, they're going to be in Chicago for a MinnMax Spotlight coming up. And so they're hosting a community meetup on Tuesday, July 14th at Off Color Brewing Taproom. It's technically called the Mousetrap is the name of the tap room. So from 8 to 10 p.m. Tuesday, July 14th, if you're in the Chicago area, come on out, say hi, bring a friend. You don't need to be a Patreon supporter to come on out. There's more info on the Patreon, though. I'll be sharing more on social as well. So Chicago people, come on out and say hello. Otherwise, Doc Lightning, the YouTube cut, went live this week where we just drank champagne and watched 2 hours of documentaries made by
Cruise
the MinnMax
Nuke.
community and watched the Cruise Nuke. Have you seen the Welcome to MinnMax gif, Haley? That's just the Cruise Nuke.
No.
Somebody made it into a Welcome to MinnMax gif. It's so good.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. Again, we hype it up a lot. I sincerely think your best case scenario for a lovely time is just sit back with a big bag of popcorn and just watch that Doc Lightning series of documentaries.
It's my favorite thing. We do.
It's so good. It is just rapid fire humanity in a way that's like it's too much to absorb in one lifetime,
Yeah.
but just cram it into 2.5 hours, you'll be set. So thanks for everyone who contributed short documentaries from the community. They were amazing. Thank you so much. Bonus pod this week sucked because frickin' Haley wasn't there. But I guest hosted and we had
Thank you, Ben.
Janet, you betcha, and Kelsey and Isaiah. So I have Isaiah on there. And we went over more SGF stuff. We didn't really just talk about whatever we want to talk about. We had a strict mission of what we're hitting. And that was all the other interesting SGF previews. So we talk about hands-on with Alien Isolation 2, Stranger Than Heaven. Isaiah tries to get us into magic. He spreads the good word. So it's a fun episode of Bonus Pod. You can unlock at the $5 tier. Otherwise, yeah, Deepest Dive in 007. That is up. And a bunch of other stuff on the horizon, which is going to be fun. So we appreciate
A lot
everybody's
going on
support.
right now.
I know. It's a busy time. And Travelog a city. So if you're at the Backstage Pass tier, you're eating good. All right. That's so much, everybody. We'll be back next week for a whole new episode of the MinnMax Show. Until then, be good, have fun. Let's go.